This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
A very good afternoon, Jumbo everyone, and hello everybody, and welcome to our sunset drive, both from Kenya and in South Africa. Currently, we are sitting in Kenya and in the Mara Triangle, and as usual, my name is David. Hiding behind the camera, filming with me this afternoon is Big James. Hello, James. How are you feeling today? Are you worried of the thunderstorms? Currently, I have to tell you, we can hear thunderstorms. The wind is pretty big at the moment, but we're not worried. Feels very comfortable for both of us, 73 degrees Fahrenheit and about 23 degrees Celsius. Remember, this is a very interactive show or very interactive drive. You need to chat to us. Any questions you may have as you're watching those zebras, you might ask me what species or type of these or those zebras are. As usual, hashtag Safari Live. And don't forget to follow us on a YouTube chat stream. Very lucky to start with some zebras there in the Mara Plains or the savannah of the Mara Triangle. To me, these zebras don't look very worried as much as the wind is blowing from where we are and thunderstorms are just, and I was talking to James earlier and wondering, are we driving into some big storm? I'm not sure whether you can hear them, but you can get thunderstorms. But what James is telling me, we have nothing to worry. We have the right equipment to go 2 strong men with us. And the zebras form part of the big migration, which we expect to be coming up. If you look carefully, all this area looks burnt. There was fire here a few weeks ago. And the grass, or the zebras are just feeding on the short grass. And we're very happy if the rains will come, because that will translate into very nutritious short grass. And my thinking is it's going to hold the migration here a bit longer. We haven't seen as many wildebeest as I would expect, because by now we'd be seeing hundreds of them. But we have a tangible number, and from where the zebras are, well done, James. Very good. So we got small pockets where we are of the wildebeest. And you notice maybe only one of the 5 here that is eating. And when I compare the 2 species, the zebras and the wildebeest, I've always thought the zebras are more courageous than the wildebeest. And if you look carefully, you can see the stalks of the grass there being moved by the wind. If this grass was much higher, you could see it moving much bigger. And we are in an area where today I want to see whether I'm going to locate the sausage tree pride of lions, which hangs around this area. But in the meantime, there's a gentleman who would like to say jumbo jumbo or hello hello to all of you all the way in South Africa.
Jumbo jumbo, hello hello to all of you all the way in South Africa. Good afternoon. Welcome to this end of the Sunset Safari. We are coming to live from the Western Kruger National Park. That's 100% live, not 90%, not even 89%, not even 99%, but 100% live from the Western Kruger National Park and, of course, the Maasai Mara in Kenya. My name is James Hendry, in case you were wondering. That's how you spell my name, I think. Have we done this, chap? No, we are. With a D, please. If you want to write me a letter or something like that, put a D there. And then we have got Batman on camera this afternoon. And our plan is to head down towards the southern parts of Juma and see if we can find Hyena, the male leopard, aged 2.5 years. And the other thing I need to tell you is that you must talk to us, please, using the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Otherwise, you can use the chat stream on YouTube. There is a kudu, a massive male kudu. His horns spiking towards heaven, curling, corkscrewing towards heaven, as though trying to uncork the sky. Do you see him trying to uncork the sky there, Craig? Yes. Craig is shocked by what I've just said. Beautiful male kudu, fully mature bull. No friends. Nigel, no mates. Perhaps he will find some friends as his afternoon goes along. We're going to find some friends just round this corner. I don't know who these friends are or why they're on this road. But let's have a look-see. It seems to be a vehicle full of wood. We shall greet them fondly and press along. Hey! Let's go. Who are we going to? Let's go and find out what Tristane is up to this afternoon.
Well, James, this afternoon I'm bumbling is what I'm doing. James is going to go look for Hosanna, which is thoroughly deserved because James hasn't had much leopard time of late. So I'm going to let James go and tackle Hosanna tracking for the afternoon. And what I'm doing now is just bumbling. I thought I heard some alarm calls down in the Mulwati today. So I'm just coming to check if maybe, just maybe, the Duke is somewhere around here. I know that he walked south from the dam last night, so I know this is a route he often takes, and I want to just double check that he's not somewhere in the drainage line here. So I just want to check this path that goes and runs a little bit southwards and see if he's come onto it. Doesn't look like it yet. He might have also walked a little bit further to the west of where I am now, but it's worth just double checking inside here. I thought I heard a Nyala bark down here when I was at home a little bit earlier, so I just want to double check. It could also, of course, be Tandi, Tlalamba, Hosanna, any of them could have walked in the Mulwati, so it's always just good just to double check these things. I might also have been hearing things, but there's a beautiful kingfisher. It's a bit obscured at the moment. It flew off from the tree and it's just landed straight ahead of us on one of the bottom branches in front. Now they are here quite regularly. We see these brown-hooded kingfishers, so straight there we go. Cool. So there it is. Beautiful coloration on the back there. You can see that they've got that kind of iridescent blue coloration that starts to shine through from below the wings and the tail area. And then, as the name suggests, they get this kind of brown head. Now this actually looks like a youngish bird. It doesn't have too much red on the beak yet, which is pretty interesting. So I wonder if it's caught something. Oh, that's cool. It's managed to get itself a little insect. So there you go. It just shows what their diet is. Often people think kingfisher and fish is their only diet, but no, these guys will eat insects, small reptiles, mammals even. And I say that not so much these guys, but the woodland kingfisher will eat little mice. I've seen them kill mice quite regularly, which is pretty crazy. But yes, woohoo, Louise, a live kill. I know, it's exciting. Please do not spill your drinks at home. It was amazing amount of action. What's that, Fergus? Not for the grasshopper, you're right. You know what, Fergus, we forgot to introduce ourselves as well, which is very naughty. As James said, my name is Tristan, and on camera I've got Fergus this afternoon. Sorry about that, everybody, but there we go. There's a nice, proper thumbs up from Fergus for the afternoon. Right, sorry about that, Ferg. Everyone would have been wondering who was on camera, but now we have told everybody. They never wonder, really. So Fergus says you wouldn't have wondered because the focus was out and the zoom wasn't plugged in. No, Fergus, don't sell yourself short. Right. So that's the plan basically, is we're going to try and scratch around, and if later in the day we're going to see if we don't come right with anything in the Mulwati, we'll head to Buffelshoek Dam, see if there's any ellies, and if there's nothing there, then I'm going to head to the Inkohumas around sunset time. I don't know, James and I haven't decided yet. If he has no success with Hosanna, he might go to the Inkohumas a little bit later. Now, Chatnoir, how many kingfishers are there? Well, here in the Sabi Sands, we get the brown-hooded, which you've just seen now. We get the striped kingfisher, the woodland kingfisher, the half-collared kingfisher, pygmy, malachite, giant, pied. And I'm missing one, I think. There should be a 10th one. I know there is a mangrove kingfisher in South Africa that makes 10. Is there just 9 that occur here? Did I say striped? I did, hey. There's 9 here and 10 in South Africa, if I'm not mistaken. Now, the only one, like I say, that we don't get is the mangrove kingfisher, which looks very much like a woodland kingfisher. I will show you a picture shortly. Just let me get into this little shady section because it's a little warm out here today. And I also just need to get my phone so that I can show you the picture quickly on the app. So hold on 2 seconds. Now I need to get woodland and mangrove. Okay, so most of you will know this bird. This is the woodland kingfisher, which we see very, very regularly in the summer, and we are eagerly awaiting for. So normally around November is when we get it. It's got that red beak on top, black beak at the bottom, this insane blue coloration on the back, and then this little white chest with this kind of spectacle black marking around the eye. Now I'm hoping that the next one is the mangrove. Yes, it is. Now you see the mangrove is quite similar, except that it's got more of a grey head than a blue head like the woodland, and the beak is solely red, and the spectacle doesn't really come underneath the eye. It just goes to the eye, it doesn't surround the eye, and then also a very sort of greyish kind of belly, but their blue on the back is quite similar. So when you see them fly, it can be a little bit difficult to find them. Beautiful, beautiful bird, and occurs mostly on the eastern coast of South Africa, northeastern coast of South Africa, around St. Lucia. Those areas you'll see them quite regularly. It's a very, very pretty bird. I quite like these guys, and not that common, like I say, but they are very, very cool. Now, we do actually have 11 species of kingfisher. I forgot the 10th one that I've not named, which was the grey hooded kingfisher, which we also get here. So there are 10 in the Sabi Sands, but 11 in total. Good. It'd be nice to have all the kingfishers back. I'll be quite happy to have most of the kingfishers back here. They obviously little pygmies and malachites. We don't see them too much because we don't have too much in the way of water. But when the Mawati flows a little bit, you do get them inside here, particularly the pygmies. We find them quite regularly, some in the drainage line, particularly just to the south of where we are right now. Good. Well, we're going to go head off towards Buffelshoek Dam, see if we can find any ellies. While we do that, let's send you across to the Maasai Mara and David, who's left his 5 wildebeest and is, I think, in search of 1,000 or so more.
Well, here we are, and I was talking earlier of some very big storms here. I'm going to stop for James to pan out and show you what I was talking about. We're expecting some very big rain, and if you look there carefully, you can see how the clouds are building, and any time we could get some very big storm, but I am not worried a minute. In the background there you can see that's a very big wall of rain in that area, and I'm talking about 150 degrees from where we are, and the wind is still building up. But from the animals they see here, nothing looks very worried. If James pans the other way around, you can see we have a hyena somewhere. Sorry about my head there. Can you see that, James, that hyena there? I do not know what family that hyena belongs to. She's quite a distance from here. But if you look carefully, she got a collar like waffles. Jamie, where are you? But you can see how majestic she is walking, and the zebras don't look very worried. So these hyenas, the researchers who have been working on them, will do those collars on their necks with some small little chip or radio to monitor them and gather some very important data for their research. And I believe this is part of the Michigan State University research, which has been going on for a very, very long time. And she's just walking majestically there. I think we've got 2 main clans of hyenas around here. We got the North Clan, and I think there's a Southern Clan, and I think there's another one called the Happy Zebra Clan. I do not know which he belongs to, but having a collar, my one definite guess would be she must be a female, because the females tend to be commanding, they carry lots of information, and the researchers will always benefit from putting the collars on the females rather than on the males. We're going to move on, as I told you, and James is still trying to as I told you, we're expecting some rain, but my plan today was to get the sausage tree pride. There's a particular sausage tree pride. This consists of 7. It got 4 females, 2 youngsters and 1 male. When it's around here, that's the coalition that will hang out with those girls, but the females are always 4. This is the area they love to hang out, and that's why I am here. And remember, as I told you before, keep chatting to us. Any comments you may have, questions on #SafariLive. Keep sending your tweets. I see a vulture there. I don't know how far that vulture is, James. Sorry to just ambush you on the right. You can see that one big vulture there, and I think it belongs to what we call the Leopard-faced vulture. It's the largest vulture we got in Africa, and they'll always go in 2s. This one is alone. I don't know why he's alone. But talking of vultures, I think Scott might have more than my one Vulture at one point still in the Mara Triangle.
Well, from a vulture sitting in a tree to a whole bunch of vultures finishing off on some scraps of a carcass. I'm not too sure exactly where David is, but you can also see that storm brewing behind us. My name is Scott. I'm not sure who those guys are behind me. I'm teamed up with VM on camera, and it's great to have you on board. So I'm hoping some of you guys got to see the river crossing that we did an unscheduled broadcast on a little bit earlier. If you didn't, you need to pay better attention to those notifications, and then you will not miss the action. Our plans from here, we've moved quite a long way from that river crossing, probably about 25 miles, and we are heading into the area of where the Owino Pride was seen yesterday afternoon, and they managed to catch a wildebeest live. So some of you would have seen that yesterday afternoon, and that is what we are hoping on going and finding. Beautiful, beautiful scenes. Cold and windy afternoon, as David has already mentioned, but those provide lions with perfect conditions to hopefully be up and about during the daylight hours. Very good. Let's actually take a closer look at these vultures. Sorry, we haven't really had a close look at them. It looks like a wildebeest they're finishing off, but we have no idea who made this kill initially or what actually went down here. But isn't it absolutely awesome how well and effectively these birds clean up all the little bits that the lions, hyenas, leopards and cheetah cannot get to, I guess, and jackals. Those are the main kind of predators that will be doing the bulk of the feeding. I didn't get your name, but somebody would like to know how many vultures are there in the Mara. It's a good question. Oh, here we've got a little bit of a show coming on. No, nothing too serious, not too much to fight over. The number of vultures will vary greatly. Rosalind, thank you, Louise, who's directing the show, for sending through your name again, Rosalind. The number will greatly vary throughout the year. I'm not sure if anybody, in fact, does do any kind of research onto how many move into the Mara during the migration months, but I'm sure it's a considerable amount. These birds can travel huge distances relatively effortlessly, Rosalind, which allows them to travel far and wide without consuming too much energy and looking for meals. And I mean, if I was a vulture, I would definitely keep my finger on the pulse with regards to the migrating herds, because it must be one of the greatest kind of plentiful situations that any vulture could wish to find itself floating above. Not only are there animals killed by lions and, oh, another little squabble, lions and other predators, but so many of the animals will die of natural causes. Joy, you would like to know if there are Ruppel's griffon vultures here, and yes, I'm pretty confident the one we are looking at now is. They've usually got a kind of slightly paler shade of feathers, which you can see this one does have compared to the one behind it, and also a very distinctive feature is a kind of pale eye. And I'm battling to get a good view, but it looks to me like it does in fact have a pale eye, not a dark eye. Yeah. And if you compare it to the one whose head's in the left of your frame, over there, you'll see that one's got a much darker eye. So that one's in all likelihood the white-backed, and then the one with the slightly lighter plumage and white pale eye, or at least paler eye, is the griffon vulture, the Ruppel's griffon vulture. So 3 different species of vultures here. We also get the hooded vulture here. Those are the main 4 species that we see. Very good. We are now going to be heading somewhere directly over where my finger is. That is somewhere where the Owinos were yesterday afternoon. So as you can tell, we have got quite a long journey ahead of us before we get into the right spot. Very good. So while we continue on with our mission, we are going to be sending you back to Tristan Dix, who is still enjoying a leisurely bumble.
I am indeed, Scotty D. I'm thoroughly enjoying the afternoon. It's absolutely perfect weather for a bumble this afternoon, and I'll tell you why. Because for the first time in a while, we don't actually have too much in the way of wind. It's not that hot, so it's 29 degrees, and that's very pleasant for us, and there's no clouds, so it's a perfect afternoon to be out on a safari. It's going to be probably a fairly quiet animal-wise for the first hour, just given that it's still quite warm. I don't think we're going to see too much walking around too quickly, but as the afternoon starts to get a little cooler, if the wind doesn't kick up like it did yesterday, I think we're in for a fantastic afternoon of game viewing, probably especially around water points. I would imagine that we will see some of animals coming down for water. Now, so far we haven't found any signs of Tingana, nothing whatsoever, which makes me think that he must have gone towards Treehouse Dam. So I wonder if he's not hung around there for the day. We'll head in that direction much later if we don't come up with anything. Doesn't seem like Tundi and Tlalamba have come this way either. It seems like they must still be around the central parts north of the lodge there. James said to me he and Steve this morning flew that area with the drone, but they didn't pick up anything. So I wonder if maybe, just maybe, they're under a thick bush or something like that, where they've got a carcass or they've got a food item that they're hiding under, or maybe they have moved and we just didn't pick them up. Sometimes with the drone, if things are not moving, it can be a little on the tricky side to find things. It's just a little spot that you see, and there's so many animals that look like a spot if a leopard is sitting and not moving that it can be quite tricky. And Steve and Seb do an amazing job actually to find us as many animals as they do. It's not as easy as it looks. So you'd think it sounds really easy, that you just spot things on a screen as the drone passes over, but it's not quite that simple. Everything looks quite similar from certain heights, and particularly things like duikers and bushbuck and those things, they look very much. Hang on a second. There's a golden-breasted bunting in front of us that just flew up. For a second, I just saw this rufous-colored wing, and I thought to myself, that would be ridiculous, because part of me went red-backed shrike, which wouldn't be now. Red-backed shrikes are normally December birds, but it is a little golden-breasted bunting. I just saw the kind of rufous of the wing flash past me, and I got a bit excited. It is that time of year where we can start expecting migratory birds, but it would be insanely early for a red-backed shrike. And one of the nice things about having the Mara actually is that all the birds that come down here generally pass through the Mara. So when you start seeing them in the Mara, then a few weeks later you should start seeing them here. And so Wahlbergs are already there, and I believe you normally start to see the woodlands as well coming through in their droves, and then a few weeks later they end up landing here in South Africa, which will be a fun time. Certainly makes things a lot noisier when those birds arrive. Not so much the Wahlbergs, although they call a bit, but the woodlands for sure, they make a lot of noise, as well as all the cuckoos. Quite looking forward to the cuckoos coming back too. Ooh, Kathy, this is a tough one actually. Which kingfisher is prettiest? For me, the electric blue of the woodland and that clean white and contrasting beak is very difficult to beat. So I would say woodland. The grey hooded is not far behind. I like them as well. They've got that little bit of orange in them. They're very pretty birds. And then I suppose the half-collared is also a beautiful little kingfisher. I know a lot of people like the malachites and the pygmy, but for me a half-collared is a very pretty little bird, very blue, with a white sort of ring around it. What did you see? Sorry, Vic?
We were just in the African hawk eagle that's behind us.
African hawk eagle behind us. Did it fly? It's still there. Oh, there it is, yes. Hello, African hawk eagle. How did I miss you? I was too busy thinking about kingfishers. I'm very sorry. Now, this has got to be one of the more beautiful bird species, or raptor species, that we get out here. Is that alright, Fergus? So he's got this beautiful striped spotted chest. You can see the crop is actually full, so must have managed to find itself a meal during the course of today. These guys are supreme hunters of francolins and guinea fowls, and when they take to the skies, it's almost the same as when you see a leopard walking along. The amount of birds that alarm call when these guys fly is quite amazing, and birds that you didn't even see that were here will start really shouting as these guys come over. But I don't think this is going to be hunting too much this afternoon. That swollen crop is really quite heavy. Now, these guys are birds that can be confused with a difficult, with another type of bird of prey that we don't see here. You can see them in South Africa, but I've never seen one here in the Kruger, and I'll show you what they look like shortly. In fact, they don't even have a great photo of them. But anyway, we'll just show you from this picture. Now, you see on that bird that it had a very sort of streaked neck and chest area, but very white on the underparts and towards the legs. Now, there's another bird called an Ayers hawk eagle, which looks very, very similar, but you can see that it has the streaking that comes all the way down to the legs itself, and then over the shoulder even, and you can see even in the dark morph it gets heavily streaked around the head area, and in the pale morph you still get that streaking around the legs, which you don't see in the African hawk eagle. But these guys are really beautiful birds, and I was going to try to show you photos of them, but there's actually only one photo on this particular app of them. It just goes to show that they're not that common to see around here. You see them, actually, there's a breeding pair that's very, very close to Pretoria. Right, well, we'll carry on. We're going to go head off to Buffelshoek Dam. We're going to try and see if we can find our ellies that we've been searching for. And in the meantime, let's send you back across to Taylor McCurdy up in the Maasai Mara, who I think has found a bird of prey of her own. I think that's what Louise said, but I'm not sure.
Good afternoon, everybody, and of course, welcome to Safari Live. Though you've been watching for a little while now, but maybe you've just jumped on board. I'm going to need your help, but we'll chat about that in a little minute, because I have absolutely no idea what bird that is. It looks like it might be a juvenile yellow-fronted canary. I have no idea. But my name is Taylor McCurdy, and I'm not so clued up on birds. And on camera with me, who is very clued up at shooting wildlife, is Archie. No, he's laughing. That's my aim. Every time I start the show, I try to say something ridiculous about Archie just so that he can smile. But shall we have one more look at that bird? I want to have a closer inspection. I'm just actually going to bend down slightly in the car so I can see this monitor nicely. Now, if you can help me, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, of course, or comment away on the YouTube chat. It's just interesting. Most of its feathers are sort of mottled grey in colour, but you can see those beautiful yellow feathers just coming through. Now, I mean, it's not a huge bird. It's smaller. There were also some dark cap bulbuls that were sitting with it, so I was kind of using that as a scale to sign. And it's smaller than the dark cap bulbul, but I can't think of what else it could be with those bright yellow feathers like that, other than a little yellow-fronted canary. It's got a big bill, sort of a seed-eating bill. Bizarre. Like I said, I'm not particularly clued up on birds. Brent will be very ashamed because he's tried his absolute best. Oh, there, it's calling. I don't think you'll be able to hear it call. It's so windy, but I heard its call. It does sound very canary-like. Singing a beautiful tune. That is so interesting. You might, Lou is just saying that you can hear it just faintly. Let me sit quietly. Maybe it calls again. Now, ideally, I'd want to play you that call. However, my phone is running low on storage, and I do not have the South African Bird app installed on my phone currently while in Kenya, because taking videos of the crossings is way more important. So it has just uninstalled itself. Love technology. So I can't even play you the call, but that's very pretty. Very beautiful to see as well. Kathy, I suppose it could be a sparrow too, but what sparrows? You know what, while you look, I'm going to quickly open my bird book. We are at the river, by the way. That's the river that you can see. I'm going to open my bird book on sparrows. Where is the S? This is my favorite part, is using a massive bird book. I'm trying to figure out SP, here we go. Sparrow lark, sparrow. Let's go to 648. That looks like where they're all starting. We can page through. I'm going to have to hold on to the book today. I don't know, Teddy, you've got a long way to go. I don't think I'd learned to count very well at school. 648. Okay. Well, I've already just seen a yellow sparrow. I'm going to try and stand like this so you can all see. But it's number 6 and number 5. And the first one is the Sudan golden sparrow. We're not in Sudan. I don't think it is that, and I don't think it is the Arabian golden sparrow either. So it's not any of those two. I'm just going to try to turn the page for you. So I'm holding on. This is a massive book. Okay, nothing on that page. Yes, you're singing a beautiful tune. Any other sparrows here that have maybe petronias? Just having a look. I don't know. That means we need to go. Canary, what's this? Okay. Hang on, I'm sorry, I had to put the book down now because it is so heavy. Look how thick that is. I mean, it's incredible for the thickness of a book. Okay, streaky seed eaters. I'm just having a quick look. No, let's get to canaries. Okay, let me go. Please don't judge me on the way that I'm turning this book. This is a field book. This field book goes out on safari, it gets rained on, and then I have another one which lives in the library and stays nice and clean. Let's go to canary. I do think it's a canary, personally. But I mean, like I said, I stand to be corrected. Let's go to yellow-fronted, 722. Oh, goodness, it's right at the back of the book. 720. Oh, what did I say? Yellow-fronted, where are you? See, it's still there. It's being a very obliging. You see a little black streak coming down. I mean, we can have a quick look here. So the yellow-fronted canary is this one over here, and it's a common canary throughout Africa. I mean, it occurs in many, many different places. That's just what it looked like to me. But it could be something else, and it has got a fairly dark bill and sort of quite a bit of sort of mottled feathers on it. But I don't know. But any of you that do have any suggestions, we welcome them with open arms. So thank you very much. And hopefully together we'll be able to solve the mystery of what bird it actually is. Oh, we have a comment coming through. Rosh, thank you. You said that you do think it is a canary. Now we just need to figure out which one. And of course, juvenile bird species are very, very difficult to try and identify. There's no, with the yellow-fronted canaries, I haven't seen that distinct sexual dimorphism. Obviously, normally female birds are a lot duller in color than the males, but with canaries, it's kind of they're all sort of yellow, just slight sort of difference. So I have to twist. I have to do the twist because my earpiece cable otherwise wraps around me. Oh, now we've actually got a bit of sunlight on it. There's a break in the clouds, but this is very interesting. I think, and it's just got a beautiful tune. So all those kinds of things are pointing towards a canary of sorts. But we'll ask the bird maestro, Brent, at some point when we get to see him. So if you've got any screenshots, I'd appreciate it. If you could tag me in them, hashtag Safari Live, so I can have a little look at them later. And it's all on its own, though. That's also something unusual because canaries are generally gregarious. They feed together. So this was making me think maybe it is a youngster that's just been blown off course. It's very, 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 very windy today. I mean, you can normally use my ponytail as a windsock. Is it working, Archie, or not really? It's because I've got too much hair. I haven't been able to wash my hair either, must tell you. What did you want? Oh, Archie's doing this. He's saying this is what you can use. Now he's cackling away. It is delightful, isn't it? So, anyways, we're going to carry on from here, but keep thinking of what bird, what canary, what anything it could be, and we'll check along the river. Off you go to Tristan to see what he's up to.
Sis Taylor. No, I'm joking. I've sympathized for the Mara crew at the moment. We had a little minor electrical fire that has knocked out the power there, and so that means that there's not been many hot showers, unfortunately, and so a lot of them have been taking cold showers, and washing your hair in the Mara in the cold is probably not the best thing. I believe it's almost sorted though, and so they should get hot showers hopefully fairly soon, but I can sympathize with why she hasn't washed her hair. And we know Taylor's quite pedantic about her hair. She's always kind of flicking it and combing it and doing her thing, so I'm sure she'll be thoroughly enjoy the next time she does actually get to wash it. Anyway, good luck with identifying your bird, Taylor. It's tough in East Africa because there's a few birds that we don't know that well, and it's not that easy to just know exactly what everything is, and it takes a bit of time to learn everything. So hopefully she'll find out what it is and be able to identify it. Well, for us, not much else has changed. I mean, we haven't gotten too far. We've just been very slowly bumbling. I've been trying to check slowly along the roads, see if there's any signs of potentially Tandi or Tlalamba crossing a road anywhere, any sign of Tingana even. So I've just been taking it very, very slow. There doesn't seem to be any fresh Ellie tracks either, indicating that there might be some around Buffelshoek Dam. Unless they've come from the north, I fear I might be a little disappointed at the dam. But we'll try it anyway. There seems like some zebra tracks that are going that direction, so hopefully we'll find them. They do like the fire break area, and so often drink here and then hang around on the fire break itself, so they won't be an unwelcome surprise. They'll be quite welcome, actually. And last time we were at Buffelshoek Dam for any length of time where we sat with animals, we got quite a lot coming. We had ellies and buffalo herd and hosanna. So let's see if we can pull off another Buffelshoek experience like we had a few days ago. Although it's over a week already now since that happened. And it seems as hosanna is really starting to expand his way out. In the last few days, he's starting to walk in areas that he hadn't walked in the first few weeks that he was back. Carl, do we see more cheetah in the dry season? No. Cheetah, I'm afraid, are never really a guarantee here. Given the density of leopard, hyena and lions, it means that it's quite difficult for cheetahs to survive, and also the terrain is not suitable for our speedy cats to really kind of thrive and sustain themselves with food and keep their young ones safe. And so, you know, we don't see cheetah all that often. Every now and then we'll get them coming through, and the cheetah family that we were seeing a few months ago, they've disappeared more to the southwest of us than to big open areas that we have down to the southwest. They were seen 2 days ago just south of our boundary, and apparently they then went back west again and have headed off. So we don't see them too regularly, unfortunately. It would be nice if they came back more. There are two brothers that hang around quite far to our east that are also kind of cruising in and around the area, but very seldom do we actually get to see cheetah, and that's because of the density of other predators that we have. And so it's a kind of one of those things where you get a lot of leopard and a lot of lions and hyenas, very seldom a lot of cheetah. And saying that though, in the Mara, you obviously get quite a few cheetah up that side, but even there they have a really tough existence. Huge amounts of lion and hyena up there, and it makes it very difficult for them. In fact, the Mara Triangle has not had a successful litter of cheetahs raised to independence in over 4 years. And when you think about that and how many litters must have been born, it's quite something, and it's a big, bold statement as to how hard it is for cheetahs to actually survive in the wild, particularly, like I say, when you get big clans of hyena and prides of lions. Right, onward to Buffelshoek Dam. We're almost there. Hopefully there will be something waiting for us. So while we head off in that direction, back to Taylor McCurdy, who, I wonder if he's got to answer about her bird, but has also found some other things roaming around the river.
Okay, well, I must tell you, this giraffe was sitting down, but it has stood up now. I don't think it was very comfortable with us. We tried to park far away, so I'm sad that I made it stand. I'm very sorry, giraffe. I didn't mean to do that. And also not an uncommon behavior to see on those very windy days. I'm very untidy today, everyone. I'm sorry. It's the wind. Archie and I are so covered in dust that's not even funny. Also, special shout out, can we just finish the Canary story, to Byron and Stacey. You guys all know Byron, obviously, Butts, you know. Wild Earth presenters, as he comes in every now and then and freelances for us. They gave the answer to me. The first thing I do is because I'm like, no, I don't know what bird this is now. I've never seen this bird in my entire life. And first message I see is from, well, the two of them saying, Byron says it's a black-throated canary. So this one, up top here. And I think that's exactly what it was. I don't know if any of you noticed the black throat, so you know, maybe it was a female, but very cool. But you can see the yellow. Soz. Archie's telling me to go back. He used his force field to push the book back. It was amazing. It was like something out of a movie. I'll show you what he did just now. But it's obviously difficult in this car to sort of gauge where I need to put everything. But we're getting there. We kind of just wing it. But Archie did this to me. He went like this. It was literally, I don't know, what movie, Archie? Maybe, what's the one where everybody has superpowers and Wolverine? Not Yoda. Okay. Archie says he Yoda'd me. He went like this. And that meant, I knew straight away. It's like we have telepathy. He did that and I knew exactly what I was supposed to do. So how great is that? So thank you, Byron and Stacey, for identifying the bird for me. A new one for me, black-throated canary. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what it was. Because it was an adult size. Yes, the feathers were very sort of mottled, quite streaked on the breast, but as soon as the wind sort of blew its feathers up, you could see that yellow rump and bits of yellow all over it, which seems to be a standard. And then I think it was a male that has the black patch on his throat, so it would make sense that the female wouldn't necessarily have that. Fantastic. So if it is a new bird for you, let us know. Hashtag Safari Live. It's always good. And for some of you that are well into the 200s of birds, I bet you're probably very excited if Brent hasn't showed you a black-throated canary already. Right, let me just do the shuffle again, the shimmy shuffle. Everyone's moved away. It's a little bit disappointing. No, Archie's pointing. Impala. We shall talk about the impala next. There it is. A male impala ram. Now, they're just incredible, the size of their horns out here. There's not too much difference in terms of body size. They're about the same size, so I'd imagine they weigh like a fully grown impala ram in South Africa, so anywhere between 40 and about 60 kilograms. But their horns are just enormous. And they have a very, very big splay of horns. So I'm just jacking. Louisa said it looks a bit beaten up, so I'm just having a closer look to my monitor. It does. Well, those are flies that are all over it at the moment. Doesn't look too bad, although they are quite scruffy at the moment. There's a nip in the air, so you can see it hasn't got that lovely slick coat like normally impala have. On a nice warm day, it is starting to get a bit chilly, so it is slightly fluffed up, but they are in such great condition. Look at them, big bulging bellies. That's fantastic. You don't often see very many thin animals out here, and if they are, then there's normally some underlying problem because food is not an issue out here. And just, of course, just chewing the cud. Very cool, nice to see, yes. Use those long ears, and impala do have particularly long ears. Not quite like a kudu, but they do the trick in getting the flies away from their eyes. And, of course, hearing. Right, and I know Tristan's on the search for leopards this afternoon. He might have to wait a while, but let's go see if he's picked up on a clue.
Well, no clues yet, Taylor. I'm busy birding at the moment. I'm having a fun afternoon of just taking it very easy. And I know if I'm patient this afternoon, good things will come to those who wait and just take it easy and take everything in. It's often one of the ways of being out here in the bush is that sometimes the best sightings come when you just settle down and you just allow things to come to you. And we've seen that with Buffelshoek Dam before. And so we've been watching this grey heron just going about its business. I think it must have grabbed something just now because it seemed to sort of go towards that side, and it's been almost drinking water as though it's kind of swallowing it down. You can see it's cleaning its beak as well. So I wonder if it maybe grabbed some food item. I'd be very surprised if it was fish because there aren't too many around in this particular dam. There's a lot of frogs, yes, and maybe even freshwater crabs, but I doubt many fish are inside here, so maybe it got one of those. But when you see a bird drinking like that and then scraping its beak on a stump, generally that's an indication that they've just fed and they're just cleaning themselves up and making sure that their beak is in good condition. But there's a little bit of drinking going on. Beautiful birds, these herons. They really are. And in the Mara, you get the black-headed heron a lot more than the grey heron. And they're very, very cool and lethal predators. They go after all kinds of things. Watching them there, go after snakes regularly. They go after frogs and all kinds of things. It's really very, very cool, actually, to spend time around them and just watch them go about their work. It's one of those kind of birds that I can watch for quite some time because they're fairly active. They're not birds. There's a few lapwings around, but otherwise quite quiet at Buffelshoek Dam. Not a single animal that I can see, which is fairly surprising given the heat. I would have thought that we would have found maybe even impalas or nyala or waterbuck, something like that, just drifting around this area. And it seems as though nothing as yet. Maybe I'm a bit early for the Buffelshoek Dam party. I could be, I suppose, but that's okay. We'll just keep kind of scratching around. Eventually we'll come up with something if we just try a little bit harder, I think. Beautiful though, isn't it? I think so. Now, it seems as though the wind is actually starting to kick up a little bit again, much like yesterday. Yesterday afternoon, we started the drive and we didn't have too much wind, and then all of a sudden, as the afternoon went on, it really started to kick up, and by the evening it was really gusting, which is never great conditions for a lot of the animals. What is going to be interesting is we're going to be able to test the argument that rages between all of us and even some of you guys at home on the wind theory with our cats, because we have two cats on the southern boundary, or two sets of cats. We have Hosanna and we have the Inkohuma pride. Now the wind this afternoon or evening is blowing from the north to the south, and therefore it should theoretically drag those cats northwards. So let's see if that rings true. I don't know. I mean, in my experience, when I've been tracking with some of the best trackers, they will say you track into the wind always, and that if you're looking for cats, often following them up in the wind is how you find them. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it's obviously one of those theories that sometimes gets debunked, and I've read a lot of articles that say it's not true. For me, if I've watched a lot of lions hunting buffalo, particularly, they walk into the wind rather than with the wind over their shoulders. So, Rosh is back. What are the differences between herons and egrets? Well, they're essentially very, very similar. They've got a very similar build and structure, but what the main kind of difference to them is, I'm actually not quite sure. They group together in the book in the first few, in the pages. They follow one another, so there must be some similar connection. I'm quite interested to see what is the actual difference between them. I would be quite sort of intrigued as to why they would be split off. Maybe herons is a size thing, although you get very small herons as well. If you think of a green-backed heron, they are very, very, very small as well. Anyway, we're going to probably leave our heron to itself. It's busy grooming and taking it easy. There was a starling that just did a walk by like a leopard past the car. No doubt has been fed many times in this area, and that's why it does that. So we're going to try and leave it and see what else we can find. In the meantime, let's send you across to James, who I believe has been off his vehicle for quite some time, probably trying to find the little prince, and I wonder what updates he's got for us.
I have been off the car trying to find the little prince, but I have failed, I'm afraid. I didn't even find one track. So now we're driving along the southern boundary to see if we can't find him. I did find one nyala. The nyala looked deeply pleased with life, except when it saw me, of course, then it looked a little bit distressed. But other than that, it wasn't a nyala that gave me any indication that it had just seen a 2.5-year-old male leopard, which was a little sad, really. Now, he's done one of two things. Well, he could have done any of 100 things, but the most likely things are that he's gone south, down towards Chitwa Dam, certainly where he used to spend a lot of time. Mercifully for us, they've been doing quite a lot of building there, which means that, he won't be quite as comfortable as he might have been if they hadn't been building there. So that's why I think he's been concentrating, one of the reasons he's been concentrating up near the Juma pan. Then the other possibility is that he didn't go south at all, that he went north towards Leadwood Road. That would be very nice, because that would mean that he was on Juma as opposed to off it. Has anybody found any further evidence of a Wahlberg's eagle? I am still searching for the Wahlberg's eagle. David Gitu managed to find one the other day in the Mara, so they're definitely on their way down here. But they clearly have not arrived. I look forward to their return greatly. So, I'm afraid I have nothing further to tell you about leopards. But we will continue the search regardless. I'm glad that we have quite a lot of action going on this drive. It's very pleasant to have so much going on in the Mara and here at Juma. Of course, when you're looking for a leopard, you're looking for a footprint on the ground, obviously, but it would be really nice if he made it easy by putting a duiker or a steenbok in a tree, easily viewable from the road, as opposed to making me stare blankly at the dirt. Yes, Commander Bond is on a mission, that is correct. Unfortunately, I think not even James Bond could affect the tracking of this leopard. That will require the efforts of Herbert Causer, I suspect. He was unfortunately on leave. But he'll be back. I always feel a little bit inadequate wandering around in the block. On the road it's okay, you can find them. Sorry, Carl, was that who is the dominant male leopard? Carl, in this area, his name is Tingana, that's Hosana's father. He is 12 years old now. He is known as the Duke of Juma. Just roll back slightly here. And the Duke of Juma is one of our very, very favourite characters. He's my favourite leopard at the moment. I do sometimes change, but he is my favourite leopard at the moment. There are no signs of leopard tracks there. I'll be very happy to see him too. His domain or dukedom has shrunk somewhat over the last little while. He got very sick. We all thought he was done for, and then he recovered. And after his recovery, or during his sickness, his territory shrunk because of incursions from marauding young males. Anyway, he's now back and fit as a fiddle, and we're hoping that he might reclaim some of his old lands from Hokomori, the great terror of the West. Right, we're now on our eastern boundary, so we're doing a sort of circle around about where Hosana was earlier today, and we might come up with something. We might come up with something else. I actually haven't seen anything other than that nyala. Well, somebody else who is searching is David Gitu-Gatamba, and he is searching for sausage. I hope he finds the Knukfurst Pride very shortly indeed.
Well, I've not been very lucky to get the sausage tree pride, but I've been very lucky to get stuck for about 4 or 5 minutes. In the Mara, we got a particular type of soil that's called the black cotton soil. And earlier I was talking about the storms that were coming, and the area we were in must have rained maybe half an hour or an hour before we got there. So it's all wet and it's very soft. So we ended up in a small little drainage, and I was trying to maneuver how to go left, right. I just dug myself in a very soft area. But you remember when I was introducing my cameraman today, I said I am with Big James, and Big James is no joke. He just jumped out, and using one hand, he just pushed me, and we came out. We got lots of zebras around here and lots of wildebeest, as James can show you, but none of them, was bothered to come and give me a hand. So all that area is the burnt area, and the area I'm talking about, that once the rains come, sorry, I missed something there, Lou. This is the area saying if it's going to rain, it will turn nice green. Thank you, Lou. And Lou in the final control was laughing, James pushing the car on one hand. Before even he had put his both hands on the car, he tossed me out, and I think I owe him a glass of juice tonight. Thank you very much, James, for that. So all that area that you see there is the burnt area and the Mara Triangle. And if the rains that we're getting now will continue, it will be nice green. Any area that is burnt will be nice green. Of course, some of the areas were not burnt. In general, the Mara receives about 900 millimeters of rainfall in a year, about 900. But this year, it could be double that figure because of the rains that we had a couple of months ago that was so much. And hopefully we don't end up getting more rains like that. It just turned, not as green as you'd expect, having had so much rain, because I think most of the water was just being washed off and going to the rivers, and mainly going to the Mara River and ending up to Lake Victoria. And I'm sure you all know Lake Victoria is the source of the Nile River. So I think not much water soaked on the ground to remain. That's why you might see the grass looking as dry. But either way, the wildebeest are still having enough to eat and graze, as you can see. So this is part of the lead of the migration that we were talking about. And if it rains more than what you can see, these thousands of wildebeest will hang here or will stay here a little bit longer than we expect. I'm sure my colleagues must have said this before. The migration got here so very late, and we do not know why. But again, it's Mother Nature, and these animals will do what they want. But one thing we know, they never miss the month of February to be in Tanzania. There's a particular 2 weeks period when they drop the young ones. But outside that window, they could be either there or they could be here. And with them, as usual, are the zebras. And mainly migration will be wildebeest, zebras, and the elands. We haven't seen any elands today, very close, and I'm sure if you see some, will be pointing them out to you. There's a little Thompson gazelle there. Occasionally also the Tommies. James, did you see that Thompson gazelle there? There's a little guy there. So we've got 3 species here that also form the migration. And in the background there, there's small little antelope, and that's the Thompson gazelle. And this will be the equivalent of the springboks in South Africa. But the Thompson gazelle.
Now, sorry, there's a few gremlins about, but I'm just listening to Rex and I'm on the radio at the moment, so I do apologize. Sorry, Rex, just confirm what species it was. Excellent, thank you very much. Right, so just got an update. Just got an update about Tandy, and she was seen around 1 o'clock apparently around Aubrey's Road area, or Gallagher shortcut, so I think we might go scratch around there for her actually. That's a nice little update that we got from Rex, so that will be very nice to go and check. So I wonder where she's off to and what she's been doing. Right, so while I kind of chat to Rex and just get a double check exactly what's going on, let's send you back across to Scott Dyson in the Mara, who's, well, I think had some success. I'm not sure. He was looking hard for the winners, but let's see what he's got.
Well, I hope you get a good update, Tristan. We have got a beautiful, beautiful scene here. A large herd of elephants slowly kind of making their usual evening routine up and out of the Mara into the surrounding Olololo escarpment. Absolutely awesome stuff. Oh, what's that one chewing on there? Thought it had pulled out one of its teeth. Looked like it had a little tusk in its mouth, but it appears to be chewing on a branch. And what it's probably going to do is just chew the outer layer of bark off that branch and then spit the rest out. At this time of the year, they also start shaking these balanites trees to get the fruits to fall down. I've seen 1 or 2 doing that. Oh, look at how big this one. She's got 1 tusk, but it's a monster. I wonder what happened to the other one. Oh, be careful with that big tusk. That wasn't very nice of you. Possibly chasing that youngster away from a tasty morsel, who knows? Very un-elephant-like behavior. They're usually very placid. Oh, there's another female with massive ivory. Beautiful. And a tiny little baby. So this is the area where the Owino Pride of Lions, 5 lions were seen yesterday. And I think they made a kill just somewhere down here. They caught a wildebeest. No wildebeest in sight at the moment, but you can see 1 or 2 zebra moving through the area, so there is some prey around, but no immediate sign of the lions. But we'll keep scratching around here, possibly head a little bit further south down along the escarpment, in that direction where you're looking now, where all those zebra are coming from. And who knows, maybe the Owinos will poke one of their 5 heads out. There's the escarpment that I was talking about earlier, and that is where the elephants like to go and feed during the night. That's what we've learnt about the ellies in this area. They get a nice mixed diet. Ooh, the comms are very shaky here, but Bob, I got a little bit of your question. I'm hoping that if Louise tries one more time, I will hear it better. But we are doing our best to answer your question, Bob. You'll just have to give it a few seconds for me to get that question again. Why do we see more lions and cheetah in the Mara but less leopards? We see more lions here because we have a bigger traverse. The size of the traverse in Juma is what limits us to seeing the Inkohuma Pride and, you know, a few others here and there. Here we've got access to a massive area, probably 100 times the size of Juma. So that's why we show you more lions here. But the lion density in the Kruger National Park, I would imagine to be fairly similar to the lion density here. I don't actually know, but the territories that lions occupy here in the Mara are massive, far bigger than the territories they occupy in the sands. So you may actually find, you know, for the size of Traverse, there's a higher density of lions down there. I could be wrong though. Cheetah, there are more cheetah here than in the Sabi Sands. It's just the wrong habitat for them in the Sabi Sands, with too many other predators in quite thick vegetation. So I think those are the reasons why we see more lion here, more cheetah here. The reason why we don't see as many leopard is due to the fact that a lot of the leopard that live in the Mara are not habituated to vehicles. And that is one thing that makes the Sabi Sands one of the best places to view leopards in Africa. Not only the fact that there's a high density of them, but more importantly, that they are not scared of vehicles. So far, this year, there's somebody who's been employed by Ngama, a South African guy called Adam, lovely guy, who also used to work in the Sabi Sands. All of us know him from our kind of time back there. And he's doing leopard research. He's starting a kind of Mara leopard ID project, and he's focusing mainly on the Mara Triangle, which is the side of the Mara River that we're in. And so far this year, I think it's 23 or 26 different leopards that have been identified in this area. But only 5 or 6 of them are actually viewable on a kind of more regular basis. The other ones are just fleeting glimpses and the leopards are gone. So a couple of reasons for the leopards not being habituated here. There aren't roads. The area isn't well traversed as the Sabi Sands, which means it's good. It sounds like signals are a bit shaky, so we're going to send you back down to South Africa.
I'm a bit worried that our signal might also be a little bit dodgy, so I'm just going to stop here and say hello again, and that I'm going to go down this dip, and if the signal does become dodgy, then I'm very sorry. I've failed to find any sign of Hosanna, which makes me think either my eyes are not working properly, or he's fast asleep in a very deep piece of grass. Did she say my signal was unstable? It broke up, did it? How about now? It's fine, good, okay. My signal is fine, fantastic. We are now in the Malawati River. And the lions were around here. I've specifically, and so has Tristan, avoided coming to them, because of course if we do find them at this stage of the afternoon, they will be so flat that most people will die of boredom. But we will definitely make more of an attempt to find them later this evening. But currently I must confess to you that I do not see them. They were around here earlier today when Sebastian was flying his drone. There they are, I can see them now. I can see the lions. Fear not, everybody. I know that many of you are, well, very, very enamoured with the Inkohuma pride for good reason. You've known them for a long time. They're old pals. And there they are. Oh, there are 2 of them. It's interesting. Where are the rest of them? Oh, behind them. There we are. Hello. Good afternoon. Yes, there you are. Thank you. And back to sleep, yes. Don't get up on our account, please. We haven't come far to see you. It's not like there are 2,500 people staring at your almost comatose corpses. Yeah. My parents would be scandalized at the manners being displayed by this lot. Oh, look at that. A little flip over. Louise says she's jealous of them. She wishes she could day nap like this. Well, Louise, Unfortunately, you don't seem to be blessed with a giant trust fund, so unfortunately you're going to have to work during the day unless you can find a job like the lions have, which allows them to work for 4 to 6 hours a day and then sleep the rest of the time. There is always the option of marrying wealthy. You could try that. I'm certainly going to try that. Oh, she doesn't want to marry wealthy. Well then, Louise, I'm afraid you can't have your cake and eat it, so you're going to have to make a sacrifice. If you want to live a day where you are allowed to sleep for 18 hours, then you are going to have to make a plan financially. You're either going to have to marry wealthy, be very poor, or you're going to have to find a trust fund somewhere. I don't see any other option for you. This is the Inkohuma Pride, in case you were worrying. Those are 2 of them. The rest are lying behind a tree, even more asleep than this bunch. There they are. Look at them all. Delighted to see you. If they knew how delighted you were to see them, I feel that maybe they'd get up and at least say hello. I don't think that would be too much to ask. Anyway, like I say, we're not going to be here for very long. We are heading towards TV on Saturday. I know it's only Wednesday, but we do need to find out where the rest of our main characters are. At the moment, we don't really know where Hosanna is. He must be around here somewhere. Tungana's absconded. Tundi, mercifully, we think we've seen just to the north of Vulture main axis.
Well, apparently James linked to me, but I have no idea what he said because apparently it was very quick and very brief, and I'm not quite sure what was actually said. Anyway, doesn't matter. We are slowly but surely making our way now towards where Tundi was seen this afternoon at apparently about 1 o'clock, crossing Vulture access. And so I want to just try and see if I can go and find out. I want to just check Gallagher Pan first and foremost to see if she didn't come for water this side. If she didn't come here, then I'm not really sure where she actually is then. Now, Rex is giving me an update. Alright, there we go. That's what I thought. Okay, so she hasn't gone to Aubrey's Road, which means she must be coming to Gallagher Shortcut, which I think means that she's coming to get Klalamba. That's what my thought process is here. It's just a random idea, given that's where we left them, was between Gallagher Shortcut and Mvubu. If she's come from that area, maybe she was out hunting, caught something, and is coming back to fetch Klalamba, or she's just coming back to Klalamba. Too many T's. To Klalamba to come and just see how she's doing. So I think that's not a bad idea, is just to try and check Gallagher's shortcuts. Hopefully we pick up her tracks, can follow them straight, and I'm pretty sure if we follow them correctly, we might lead us straight to where we were yesterday morning with the 2 of them, and hopefully it's going to be with the little one and they then take us back to kill. Wouldn't that be nice? I think that would be nice. Let's all put good vibes out for that to happen this afternoon. It can't be Shadulu because Shadulu is mating with Hukamuri on Elephant Plains, so they're quite far away and are busy doing their thing. Poor Hukamuri, that guy must be seriously, well, he must be thin. He must be very, very thin after the amount of mating that he's done. He's been mating non-stop with Shadulu and Tiani, and it seems as though as one finishes, they kind of just high-five each other out and swap. And then they kind of go, and this poor male is just not getting any chance to move around. Now, yesterday I said that he was very close to our boundary, but actually he ended up getting very, very, very near, and then killing a warthog, I believe, and scoffed that down, and then met up with Shadulu. So he's a busy boy. At least he's got a full tummy, I suppose. I forgot that he had eaten yesterday after the evening, which I suppose is good news for him. Didn't get much of a chance to eat though, did he? Now, where we should be going to check the last spot from them yesterday is up there, but I want to check first that she didn't drink at the pan and then move a different direction, and then also just check Gallagher's shortcut to see if she hasn't potentially just lay up in that block. I have a funny feeling she's going to cross the Gallagher shortcut very close to the drainage line that runs this sort of east-west, and she's going to head just on the northern side of that. That's where I think she's going to cross, very close to the old hyena den where we had Inkohuma grow up and live for quite some time. So that's where I think the tracks are going to go. I don't see any sign of a leopard walking towards Gallagher Pan. Now, it's just James and myself that are out so far this afternoon. There's nobody else around. And so I know that nobody's driven here during the course of the day. And if that means if she crossed the road and then walked in this area, I will pick up her tracks very, very easily. So I'm hoping that that's going to be the case and that I will find nice, clear pug marks on the road. Come on, Tandi. Nothing here at Gallagher Pan yet, though. So it doesn't look like she's come for water, which is then makes me think she's gone straight up towards where the cub was. It's not uncommon for a leopard to leave a cub for as long as that, you know, for overnight and early hours of the morning. Just leave them in one place and then go back and kind of fetch them. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. Right, so well, I'm going to head off towards Gallagher Shortcuts. I'm going to try to see what I can find there. In the meantime, let's send you back across to Scott Dyson, who has, well, done what he set out to do, much to the delight of all of us, because none of us have managed it but him, and he has found the lions.
Like, you know. Sadly,
We're still standing up. I don't know what happened to that one.
you know, the bloody zebra.
Hello everybody! There, over there is a bird, two birds, a Natal Franklin and a little green spotted dove, emerald spotted wood dove. Sorry about that crash cut away from the Maasai Mara. As I always say, lots of challenges with broadcasting a high definition signal from two remote areas in Africa. You can imagine. You probably can't imagine. I can't even imagine. And I'm here. Now, the emerald spotted wood dove is a favourite of mine because it makes a very plaintive calling sound during the summer, at least during the beginning of the summer, so it'll start making it fairly soon. There it goes. If somebody is very sad in Shangaan, you say, Shirila Shivambalan. It's crying like one of these doves. So that is Shivambalan. How on earth they decided to call Karula's one offspring Shivambalana, aka the emerald spotted wood dove, I don't really know. He doesn't have emerald spots on him. Perhaps he was a miserable child, I don't know. Umka, the Emma falcon, I think will only come back here around about... When do I think it will come back here? I think that the Emma falcon, Umka, will come back here, I'm going to guess, and tell you for sure. On the off chance that I've told you a lie, which would make me feel dreadful for at least 3 minutes. They will come back... Yes, November. Ha, how's that? Mainly eastern regions, present November to May. Highly gregarious, undertakes local movements in response to rainfall and insect emergencies. May gather in thousands at communal roosting trees. Now, I believe that Scott has managed to find his sound and his lions, which are now hunting, trying to find food in 6 seconds. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back again. We've got some good news. We have managed to find the Owino Pride. Thankfully, as we stopped in this area and started scanning with the binoculars, we saw one lioness eyeing out some zebra that kind of were initially heading towards the lion from our right, but then they kind of veered off in the wrong direction, sadly. So it seems like the lion have gone back to bed, and we are just making our way in to give you a closer look. They were just underneath this tree over there. And for any of you who may have just joined, just a reminder from yesterday's afternoon safari, VM and Jamie got lucky filming these lions catching a wildebeest. It sounded like it was quite a big wildebeest, so they will be full-bellied, but at this time of the year you can expect anything from lions because there's just so much food around. If anything walks past them, they will have a shot at it. But not too much game in this general area for the time being. There was a large herd of zebra we passed earlier that had already kind of moved through here. Rafael, you would like to know who is the more successful hunter here in the Mara, hyena or lion? And it'll all depend on the individual clan and pride. It's kind of like a sports team, you know. Different sports teams will be... well, their kind of strength will vary from season to season and from game to game. And each, obviously, some teams will just be better than others. Lions are here somewhere. VM says you can see one in front of me. As you can tell, the grass is quite long, so we're just going to have to take it a bit slow. They're somewhere here. Okay, thanks, VM. VM says it's just past this termite mound over here. There are 5 in total, 2 adult mothers and 3 youngsters that were all born last year. Ah, I can just see one now. Oh, looks like we've missed some action. Looks like they've already caught a zebra. I can just see a zebra's leg sticking out of the grass over there. Oh no. Well, it appears like the Owino pride are continuing to cash in on the migration. They have bagged themselves a zebra. I wonder when they caught this. Looks like they've been able to feed on it for quite a while now, but they were full-bellied, like I said, before they actually made this kill and before they made their last one. Let me stop here. That should work. Now, if any of you are a bit squirmish, of course there's a carcass in front of us, so apologies for that, but it is nature, so if it's not your scene, maybe go and make yourself a cup of tea or some choc chip cookies if you need to kill more time. Very, very good. So that looks like one mother and one youngster. We've got another, what looks to be youngster over here. This one looks to have been feeding the most recently. It's still got, let's wait until it turns its head around, it's still got little bits of blood and who knows else or what else on its moustache. And you can tell its belly's very full. This looks like another one of the youngsters. We'll have to wait for it to turn its head around to confirm, but it could be the young boy. Seems to be a little bit of fluff under his neck. His mane is already beginning to develop, even though he was only born in April last year. There you can see a little bit of... You have not cleaned your mouth after dinner? Maybe that's because it got distracted. That one's looking in the direction that the other herd moved in. Isn't it fascinating how, even though they're full-bellied, they've got a kill here, it's still looking out in the direction of a possible meal? Nuts, so you'd like to know if we have any prides here in the Mara that are well renowned for hunting big game, like giraffe or elephants? Not really. I must be careful what I say here, but I'm inclined to believe that the Mara lions are a little bit lazy. Because of this migration bounty that they get to cash in on every year, it's kind of just a theory, but I guess it doesn't force them to be trained as very good hunters. Of course, that does leave them 8 months of the year to try and make a plan with what they can do, but we tend to find that most lions here will try and hunt warthog and whatever other bits of general game they can come across. They don't take down big prey too often. However, in one of the conservancies just north of where we are here, parts of the Maasai Mara, There was a very incredible sighting that was recently had with a pride of lions catching a baby giraffe. But in order to get to the baby, they needed to jump on the mother's back to distract her enough for the other pride members to bring down the youngster. So that was a very recent and incredible scene. Yeah, I think the prides of kind of specialist hunting lions, especially in terms of hunting bigger prey, you tend to find in areas where they're kind of forced to have to think clever and take these chances. Here in the Mara, I think the lions are privileged not to have to do that. We also don't have the biggest prides here. Of course, that will change from time to time and from year to year, but there haven't been any monster prides that we've really seen since we've been here. And it's generally the monster prides that tend to feed on the monster game. Oh, that is one very full-bellied lion. Jesse, you would like to know if the black ears that, on the back end of the lion's ears are for recognition of kind of pride members when they're hunting or being able to tell where they are. I mean, yes, that is a plausible theory. If one lion is behind another one, seeing those kind of black ears will be easy to distinguish from the golden tawny grass that then even now would be a good example of, you can see that. Whether it is in fact, an evolutionary thing that's happened, I'm not convinced. I think their eyesight is so good that they probably don't need that. But that is a theory. That certainly is a theory. So we've accounted for 3 of the 5 lions. The fact that we can't see 2 means they could either be sleeping in the very long grass around us, or maybe they have made not 1 but 2 zebracles. I'm guessing that could well be the case. There was a massive herd. Let's actually look at that herd. It could well be that same herd over there that this zebra lying down next to the lion was plucked from. So there would have been lots of options, and it's not uncommon for this pride to make 2 kills in one position. It's already happened a few times so far during this migration. But I think because they are full-bellied and there isn't too much prey kind of heading towards them that we can see, I'm thinking of possibly heading off, as there was a report of the Owino pride being seen a little bit closer to camp, and maybe they will be in a situation where they may in fact do something for us. I think these guys, mainly for the reason that there's no other prey close to them, are going to just be taking it easy. Marvelous. Well, there's some more good news from the Maasai Mara. It's not just myself and VM who've got lucky with some lions, but so has David and James.
Well, I might have gotten 50% of what I've been looking for. From a distance, I'm seeing some lions. Not exactly the lions I've been wanting to get hold of. I've been trying to search for the sausage trip ride, but I'm just about to see a coalition of males that will always mate with part of that pride. And there's one big guy here that we call Kipuli that James will be showing you in a few seconds. James, tell me what pleases you. Is that good, or do I go a little closer? Is that good, James? All right, James says that's good position. We've got 2 boys here and 1 girl, and James is going to show you the main guy here that we call Kipuli, and that's him there, and he got his girl there, and that particular pose tells you a lot. Can you see me? Yes, I can see you. Can you see me too? Yes, and definitely this pair here is a mating pair. And yes, Lou in the final control says this is fantastic, beautiful, and I'm sure all the viewers will be happy to see these 2 lions here. And it's a mating pair, as I said earlier. And just look on the mane of that boy, and that girl did not make a mistake to mate with such a good-looking male. And you can see the wind blowing his mohawk from side to side. It's a very close-up, very up close and candid, I would say. I think that's what love is all about when it comes to the cats. Hi, Kipuli. If I'm too loud, I'm too invasive, Kipuli. Tell me to make my voice a bit soft. So they're in an open area where the grass is burnt. And James, if you pan to the left a little bit, you might see the other youngster there. Thank you, James. And you can tell, I'm sure James is going to go closer to the youngster. He doesn't have as big mane. World Painted, how are you today? And in this particular coalition, we got 3 males. There's the big guy. There's one that you see there, big painted. That's a youngster there. There's another youngster who is not here. And the big one, the Kipuli, that is with that girl. So this coalition, the few times I've seen it, is always or incorporate 3 males. That big guy, you see that we call Kipuli. And these 2 youngsters here don't have a name as yet, but they control a huge area. We have also seen Kipuli, the guy you see there, also mating with the sausage tree pride that I've been searching for the last 2 hours. But again, yes, just to answer you, this particular coalition incorporates 3 males. This big guy and 2 youngsters. A friend of mine was telling me the youngster we saw on the left earlier was also mating with a female, and I did not understand that. And Kipuli was not very far from there, but it would happen either he is passing the mantle to the young, the young male, but I would imagine the main male in a coalition will always have the mating rights. So this particular one, I guess, I do not know what female he was mating with. And it's very interesting, he's facing the other way, maybe giving them their privacy. You notice how they blend in very well in the grass there. And it's always quite a ritual. The times or the period the lions are out mating, more often than not, it may take 3, 4, 5 days, depending on the age of the male. And what would happen is, Karen, the females at the age of 2, they are fully grown, and 2.5, the girls are ready to mate. And they tend to keep knit close the family, either sisters or aunties or first cousins together. So anything 2.5 years old, a female is ready to mate. And once she's in estrus, you definitely bump into any males around that area, and they, she'll be able to mate. The males might take a bit longer, maybe sometimes 3 years before they actually can be sexually mature. But girls, anything 2.5 years, they are always ready to mate, Karen. So definitely from my look, this girl is quite mature. I would guess she could be anything 4 or 5. I have no idea that she has had any litter before, or this is her first one, but from the look, this definitely not be her first litter if she is going to conceive with Kipuli. I'm still very surprised on how close they are and how they're facing each other. More often than not, you'll always see the pair after mating, the female just laying down, the male also going flat. I don't know how fresh this mating is, but the first 2-3 days, you'll see them mating 15 minutes, every 15 minutes. Sometimes 60 times in a day. Sometimes I've been said 72 times in a day. From a distance you can hear some lions calling. I do not know which lions they're calling. If you look at these 2, okay. How epic was that? Lou is very, very impressed to hear that, and I think I had only one option and keep my big mouth shut. And the lions have spoken for me. I do not know what the girl is trying to do now. Let's find out. Well, I may keep quiet again. I truly want to thank these lions here. Oh, very well done, Kipuli. And the beautiful girl. I do not know why you need to move so quickly now after just meeting. I was talking about... Yeah, Lou is very impressed by that. I'm equally very happy to have seen that. And that roaring we just had a few minutes ago, I do not know how far it was from here. Sometimes it's very difficult to gauge the distance of lions roaring. You might think they're too far. Sometimes you're surprised they're too close. There's a zebra in the background there, but I'm sure that zebra could tell or definitely heard this lion's roaring, but she doesn't look very worried. If she knows they've been mating and have seen there's a big male here, she's sure that chances are he will not go, he'll not go for her. But the one youngster male has walked away, not knowing where he's going, but he is going the direction where we had the other rower coming from. So I do not know whether the other rower we had were males or females, but these particular ones we had both male and the female roaring together. And how epic was that? He is moving away there. I'm sure James is trying to show us. So don't know where he is going, either to wade away with the other lions that we're calling. If definitely these are the territorial guys, he could be going to spy and find out who those guys were, maybe come and report back to Kipuli. And then they might make a plan. And that was very epic to hear them roar like any other big cat. And also to see them mating on that, few seconds that we're lucky to see that. But again, it's a world of lions in this afternoon. We'll go to the other pride with Scotty.
Well, awesome stuff. Well done, Dave. And happy to hear Kapuli's getting lucky. This is the paler of the two mothers. I'm not sure now where the one youngster is. So we found 4 out of the 5. We've driven probably only about 30 or 40 meters away from the rest to find this one. And we just wanted to make sure they hadn't in fact succeeded in making 2 zebra kills, but hard to tell for now. Doesn't seem like it. As you can see, she's got lots of flies bothering her. I don't envy being a lion. The flies really do. Oh, well done, VM. VM found the 5th and final Awino member. Oh, well done, Justin. Justin, our Askari. And Askari is a park ranger in the Kenyan kind of phrase. He spotted it. Justin has got incredible eyes. He's a huge asset to have on board. Nutsa, you would like to know how many prides of lion are there that we kind of see here? Well, it sounds like the Olololo pride are the furthest north. Another pride that used to kind of frequent the northern corner of the Mara Triangle have disappeared. We're not too sure what's happened to them. So the Olololos have moved into their spots. So we've got them, the Awino pride, the Mogoro pride of 3, the Sausage Tree pride of 5, the Salt Lick pride of 7 in theory, but they've only been seen in groups of 4 and 3 recently, so they could have split up. So let's say and then the Purungat pride. So about 7 or 8 prides in the Mara Triangle. None of them very big, and a lot of them have the common traits of splitting up. When they do get above kind of 5 or 6 or 7, then they get a split. And that's exactly what happened with this pride over here. The 2 lionesses that currently head up this pride were initially members of the Sausage Tree pride, but they split sometime, I'm guessing possibly early last year or late 2016. And it's an interesting kind of trait of Mara lions What's really interesting is this one's hardly fed. She's giving soft contact calls. Look at her belly compared to others. That's quite interesting. So, I'm guessing because her belly is not too full, and the fact that she's heading towards that zebra carcass, that we may get to see her crunching down on it. So let's go back, see what she gets up to. She's stopped for the time being. So let's stop and see if we can't hear any more of her soft contact calls. Come on, call again. Beautiful. What's been interesting for me personally over the last few months, bad timing. Very soft, delicate call. Unlike the deep rumbling roars that they can also let out, depending on what they're wanting to say. And I'm told you could hear a few soft squeaks coming out of it. It was quite a high-pitched contact call that she let out. As I was saying, though, what I found interesting is the ability to actually distinguish between different lions. And I urge all of you to kind of take a closer look at the lions that we view and try and learn to distinguish between them, because it's really useful for us to be able to not only just follow these prides as a group, but to get to know them more as individuals. And just like the leopards can be told apart, so can the lions. Just requires a little bit of effort. This pride's very easy because this lioness and the other lead lioness are very different looking. This one's far paler than the other one and not as kind of big and not as tall, but she's got a decent build. The other lioness is definitely taller than her. And then the other lioness, the darker lioness, gave birth to two girls, one of which looks like this one, and the other one looks like her mother. And then the young boy is also pale, like his mother, this one. Wild painted, you would like to know who she is calling to. And she's definitely calling out to her other pride members. They're right here, and that's why she's calling so softly. But what on earth she's wanting to say to them, I don't have a clue. And it's quite bizarre because she knows full well that they're here, there's a kill, but she's still calling out to them, which I find kind of strange. Doesn't make a huge amount of sense, but a lot of the things that the wild animals do out here will not be able to be comprehended by our minds because they've got a mind of their own. And definitely don't think like we as humans do, thankfully. I say thankfully. I'm not too sure why. Maybe because we cause these animals so much trouble due to our greediness, but we're not going to go down that road now. Slippery slope. I think it would make more sense to send you across to Taylor McCurdy to see what she has found. Imagine if it's some more lions.
Well, it's about time we showed up to the game, hey? And participated in the lion parade that seems to be going on in the Mara today. Now, that lion that you are looking at, I think, is Halftail, one of the Kichwa males, or also some of you call them the Triangle Boys. And we're sitting with an actual pride of lions, but of course they're doing what lions like to do best, sleep. And there's all the lionesses. Now, because they're all hidden in the long grass, it's been difficult to count them, but I have counted 6 lions that are not big males. So there could be more, though. There's another male. Hello. That must be Fang, if the other one is indeed Halftail. And the only reason I know this, well, I'm guessing it, is because that male had his tail draped over a branch, but he's moved it now. And it's quite easy to tell the difference then between the two. But we're in one of their favorite spots in the marsh, and they're hungry, and there is so much food around for them. I'll have to do a little bit of moving around, but not out of the ordinary. So I was blowing an ant off of my arm. There's all sorts of things that like to crawl on you when you're out in the wilderness. And the worst thing you can do is often, I suppose, slap your arm or try and squash the bug, because it can end up being a disaster, especially if they've got a chemical defense. So it's best to just flick or blow things off of your arms and things like that. So I did that technique. Anyways, I digress there. They're fast asleep. I don't think that they'll be asleep for too much longer. I mean, it is starting to get dark now. We have only just been here a couple of minutes and they haven't shown any signs of life. None of them have even rolled over for us. Still fast asleep, but out in the open now. I wouldn't have imagined that they would have been out in the open for most of the day because it's been exceptionally warm. Oh goodness, I didn't even see those lions. There might be more. Holly, I think you might be mistaken there, because you've said, why do male lions and lionesses usually hunt separately? That's not the case at all. So something we do have to understand is that lionesses are fairly social and they live in prides together. So the girls would typically stick together. Obviously, there's exceptions where prides will break up essentially and split up into smaller groups. But the males, and for example, the Kichwa boys, is that they don't just see to this pride. This could either be the Cabarini pride or also the Marsh Breakaways. I'm not quite sure. So they will see a number of different females. So if they're not with the pride at the moment, they could be off on a patrol. Well, then yes, they might hunt by themselves, but typically they will hunt together if they are together. So that's kind of not the case at all. If you're a young dispersing male, you're not going to be welcomed into very many prides at quite a young age. So then, yes, you will see young males hunting all on their own. But typically they'll hunt together. They're more successful. The males are super important when bringing down large prey, like things like buffalo. They're obviously much stronger than the females. So they definitely play a vital role. They might not be as quick and agile as the girls. The girls are obviously smaller in size and a lot more streamlined. Those big males have got those big bulky manes. I'm sure they must get in the way at some point. But the male lions hunt just as often as the female lions do, and together most of the time. Unless, again, like I said, they're out on a patrol and they're not with any lionesses at a sort of time. But she doesn't look like she's too hungry. She looks like she's got a bulge. Maybe they have caught something over the last couple of days, something small that they've all just been nibbling on. But they're definitely not super, super full. They could definitely do with a meal. So I might have to come back here in the morning and have a little look around and see if they are able to catch something. I don't know. We'll have to just kind of wait and see. But fantastic for their winyows that Scott has. They've been super successful. First a wildebeest yesterday with Jamie, and then now a zebra. Pretty incredible. They're racking up the statistics in successful hunts. And if they can do it with just a couple of them, I don't think that hunting for this pride would be too much of a problem. Except for the fact that they need to hunt something quite large. They need to catch something like a buffalo to have a decent feed. He's dreaming. Look at that. Twitching paw. Perhaps he is chasing after a big old buffalo bull now. Go, run, and leap. No. I'd love to know what that lion is dreaming about and what he's actually just thinking of. But this is lovely. I'm impressed that we actually managed to dodge the rain this evening, although I see that there's a second wind on its way in. Okay, well, we'll sit here with these lions for a little bit longer. Off we go to James, who's not having much leopard luck.
I certainly haven't had much leopard luck at all, I'm afraid. We're going down now towards Chitwa Dam to see if we can't find anything there. Otherwise, I think we'll probably have to get back to the lions. There were reports of tracks of a male leopard coming down towards this way, and so maybe Hosana has decided that Chitwa is the place that he'd like to visit again. I hope that he dissuades himself of the notion to stay here. Come on, Jigger. Jigger's a little hot, running hot today, so I'm trying to just ease my way down towards the waterhole with her off. There we go. Almost made it. So I'm afraid on the leopard front not much to say. We have found some waterbuck, impala, the odd duiker, But nothing like the success of the Mara teams at the moment. 3 prides of lions. It is wonderful, actually. And the migration, of course, mid-migration. Such an exciting time of the year over in the Maasai Mara, and here for different reasons. Here, of course, because it is the dry season, and it's now that you would expect the game viewing to be the best. And it certainly has been amazing over the last few weeks. Still no Wahlberg's eagle. Let's see what we can find in the water or at the water's edge. I am here with Craig, of course, and so the chances are a wild dog will come past and chase an impala into the water, and the crocodile will then eat it. We'll just nip up to the top. Have a look, see what's here. Come on, old girl, up you go. Oh gosh, my driving is well dreadful. Alright, let's see what we can find. Ta-da! Here is Chitwa Waterhole. Also emptying, of course, because of the dry season, but nowhere close to actually becoming empty. Such a lovely sound that is, such a peaceful sound of Africa. For many people it is the somewhat cliched sound of the African fish eagle. Every advertisement, documentary, short wildlife piece, tourism website, tourism video has got the call of the fish eagle in it. Swara, the large beefalo herds, we think, are lurking probably in the Manyeleti. There is good grass there. There is a lot of water there with the Manyeleti big dam, or main dam, I think they call it. And so there are a lot of buffalo up there. Many of them have just simply not returned here, though, since the drought of 2 years ago. Now, why that should be the case, I don't know. We certainly had good rains last year, so I really don't know why the beefalos have not come down, and whether or not they will come down. I mean, they will at some stage. There was a small herd of 100 came to Buffelshoek Dam a little while back when Tristan was there, and then I saw them again in Torchwood a few nights later, but since then they've gone. They've disappeared again, and I'm sure that's to the north. The geology of the Manyeleti, I think, or pieces of the Manyeleti, is slightly different from here, which means that they've probably got slightly better grazing at this time of the year. But it's also why we haven't spent a huge amount of time with the Inkohuma pride of late, because of course they are buffalo specialists. And if there are no buffalo, well, they tend not to hang around. Bit of a wind blowing in from the northwest, which tells me that the cold front that hit us yesterday has gone away. Right, we're going to go back up to the Maasai Mara, where Taylor McCurdy is experiencing an embarrassment of riches. She's had lions, she's had various other things, and now she's got a large elephant.
So we haven't actually moved from the sighting. We've just got a rather large elephant bull feeding in a lugger, which is a drainage line. So he's just over there. That's why he looks so small at the moment, but I can promise you he's far from small. And this is where we do spend a lot of time with elephants and things like that. So they're the lions. Now, I don't know if the lions know that the elephant is there. Maybe they've heard him feasting away. He doesn't particularly care about the lions sleeping, and he's going to chew and pull the leaves off as loudly as he can. And if we're lucky, we might even get him charging towards this herd if he comes in. This herd, the herd of lions. That is not the correct collective noun for a group of lions. But yes, you get what I meant. But anyways, that sometimes can happen. There we go, climbing out. Oh, Stumpy, where's the rest of your tail? Now, that is what you call half tail, not what that other lion has. He's just missing the tip of his tail. But again, not an uncommon injury to see on an elephant. It could have happened from a number of different reasons. But he's a beautiful boy. And you'll probably find it happened when he was younger. Just munching away, enjoying himself. Oh, the scenery is just so beautiful. I was about to say, I was like, are those vehicles? But it's not. It's the range, that housing that you can see in the distance. That's the ranger's accommodation at Olololo Gate. I thought, goodness, what sighting is over there? But it isn't. So that's what you can just see in the far distance. So that's the most northern boundary of the triangle. Minamu, I'm sure elephants get toothache. 100%. Eating the things that they eat out here. I'm sure their teeth must, I don't know what word I'm trying to find now. I cannot speak English very well either. But anyways, I'm sure that they do encounter things like that every now and then. How they would deal with it, maybe they chew on a plant. Who knows, maybe they go to the dentist, they get it pulled out. I don't know who would be brave enough to stick their hand into an elephant's mouth. That'd be interesting. But you're facing the wrong way. Come back this side, please. And chase the lions so that they get up so we can try and figure out what pride we are looking at. Because right now it could be either or. But I'm not going to make a call just yet. Just because it's very difficult to, of course, see. But still very flat and very relaxed. Typical lions. I can hear the Australians in the car next to me. There is a lot of lions, one just yelled. I think that's been my favorite thing about the Mara so far, is listening to the conversation that other people are having. It is hilarious. I have to tell you, did I tell you about the story when one guest drove through a little bit of a crossing, but it's just like a little tributary that feeds into the Mara River. And it holds water, the Maji Machafu crossing. And these guests were so excited. They yelled, and Archie and I must have been less than a mile away. And they shouted, what did they shout, Archie? Oh my goodness, are we on the other side of the Mara River now? Shame. I did have a laugh at it though. They weren't. They were still in the triangle. They hadn't quite crossed just yet. But it was very sweet though. The excitement in their voices. I would have just been like, yes, now we're in the Maasai Mara. I would have hated to have disappointed them. But I thought it was funny. Although I tend to laugh at everything. Oh, he's slowly feeding. Maybe he'll turn around. Oh, some lions have got their heads up now though. There's some little ones. Not teeny tiny ones, but sub-adults. Now, of course, they've put their heads down again. Typical. And maybe not even Australians. It could be German. I'm sure I heard an Australian accent in the next car. I totally did. Or New Zealand. They're very close. Very, very close. And now they are fast asleep. I wonder who's going to wake up first. Maybe the males. They seem to be twitching and rolling around more often. Anyways, off you go to David, who's got something that a lion would like to eat.
Well, nothing out of ordinary with kitty cats, especially the lions, baying flat. But, well, I got like 3 species at the same time here. And they have a commonality of what they're doing. The wildebeest, the topi, and the zebra. And I'm trying to look if maybe I could give a small little poll to it there and tell me. The zebra has the black and white, and the topi has, is it black and brown? Which of the two do you think is more colorful? You can always send your tweets. #SafariLive. You got them there, right on the frame. Zebra, black and white, or white and black. And the topi there, either grey and brown. Very good, James. And tell me, of the two animals, which one do you think is more colorful? There's one major difference between these two animals that you see here. Well done, James. And I think it's time to nurse now. James, do you think that baby is too big to nurse? She's even struggling to go under the belly of the mother. I think by now she should have been weaned 6-8 months. It's time to, like, come on, get into grass and stop getting my milk. I need to re-energize and prepare for the next baby. And yeah, Lou in the final control agrees with me that that baby is rather big to be nursing. I think zebras are known to kick hard. I wouldn't advocate for the mother to give a little kick, but I would say a little push, like, you're just too big. She is almost the size of that toppy in front of the mother. Now, what you're doing should be the correct thing, feeding on the grass. Come on, wildebeest, get out of the way. We are looking at the baby. Scott, I might be agreeing with you that the toppies are much more, good looking than the zebras. That comment is great. I couldn't agree with you further. I would be more than happy to hear a few more comments coming up there, Lou, in the final control. Send your tweets. I mean, you have seen both of those two animals there, the toppy, and the toppies are very similar to certain animals in South Africa or antelopes in South Africa that you call the sesame. I mean, he is very good looking. And I would say the sesames and the toppies are subspecies of each other. I do not want to ask about the wildebeest. I doubt if we would compare the wildebeest, the toppy, and the zebra, I definitely will, get a poll of the wildebeest coming at distant 3. Doesn't have any colors, but in their own right, they are good looking. Just like the hyenas, how they are misunderstood, I also want to believe, or I also think the wildebeest count in the ecosystem. And just look at the massive numbers. And they tend to support all the predators around here now in the Mara Triangle, talking of hyenas, talking of lions, cheetahs, leopards, and not talking of cheetahs, I'm talking of, say, a coalition of cheetahs, say 3, 4, 5 males, like the musketeers have been known to bring down baby wildebeest. But a single cheetah will definitely go for small antelopes. That's the beauty of the migration. The wildebeest, the zebras will migrate, but the toppies you see amongst or in this huge herd, they do not move. Laura, excellent. This view, I would be happy to get a glass of apple juice. Well, it's rather chilly now, maybe a cup of coffee. And Laura, enjoy that view. Just look at that, Laura. Wildebeest, zebras, toppies, the plains, the open grasslands, the scattered bushes here and there. And apparently, Laura, after the rains that were here before we got here, it's smelling so fresh. There's some wonderful scent in the air, because of the ash of the burnt grass and the black cotton soil. As it warms up a little bit, what's being pushed up or what's evaporating is just wonderful scent coming from where we are. Well, I'll drive on enjoying this beautiful scent, and I'll have zebras to my left, I'll have wildebeest to my right, and they're all over, both sides. So Laura, as I keep enjoying this, hopefully all of you viewers will keep enjoying the same with me. Smelling that wonderful scent coming up from the Mara Plains, and move on, still continuing on my search of the sausage tree pride. I've seen the males that will always hang around with them when they're mating. Now let me look for the girls. I do not know where they could be. It's still too early, and I still got some hope of finding them. James, all the way in South Africa, is searching for cats too. Good luck, James.
And failing dismally. There was a fork-tailed drongo, and I was in conversation briefly there with the taxon, who is also looking for Hyena, the male leopard, around this area. That is a fork-tailed drongo, isn't it? It's not a black flycatcher, surely. I say, does it have a forked tail? Not very. Could we be looking at a black flycatcher, everybody? I think we might be. Just keep your eye on it. It doesn't have a red eye. You see that? It don't have a red eye. And therefore, I'm just going to quickly turn my radio off the eastern channel, which is going ballistic in my ear. Therefore, let us look at the black flycatcher, which I think has a black eye. You still got him there. Yeah, both the drongo species have got, as I say, have got red eyes. The black one has a brown eye. Yep, that's him. No, except he's got a forked tail. He can't be. Let's quickly try and enthrall him with a call. See how it looks somewhat forkedish. Duller than male, lacks deep red eye of the drongos. That thing does not have a red eye, and we've got very nice light on it, wouldn't you say? I'd say. Let's make a call. Here we go. It is. It's making the call. There it is. Thank you very much. I do apologize for disturbing your peacefulness, but there it is, the black flycatcher with a slightly forked tail. That's a real win, everybody. I'm sure many of you who are keeping your bird lists will be able to attach that bird to the list, append it, and decide that you've done very well on the birding front today, although on the leopard front it's been distinctly poor. That's very cool. I'm not sure I've ever heard, I mean I've definitely heard one before, but I'm not sure I've ever seen one singing like this, even though I have induced it to sing. Yes, thank you, Arbia. The fork-tailed, black-eyed drongo flycatcher. That's exactly what we have here. Isn't that lovely? That's a real win, that is. I have, unfortunately, Bree, I have confuzzled him. It's not very nice of me to have played his call, but I desperately wanted to know what he was. I was sure I knew what he was, but unfortunately I didn't trust myself. And there he is, the black flycatcher, southern black flycatcher. Wonderful, good. All right, I think we'll leave the southern black flycatcher and continue our leopard search. Taxon's gone round that way, we'll carry on round this way. I do have to film something for the TV show, and so we might go and do that with the lions. I was hoping to do it with a leopard leaping in a tree. There are some tracks of a male leopard going in here, but they look old to me, and I'm sure they were from Tingana when he was going, not Tingana, Forsano when he was going up and down this road, or crisscrossing it earlier this morning. What a really nice discovery, southern black flycatcher. I don't think I've shown one live before. I may have tried. Right, I think that Tristan is feeling probably the same levels of frustration that I am.
Well, to a degree, yes, James, although we've got a lot more to go on than what James does at the moment. So I have tracks for Thandi walking back towards the area where we had Kalamba and her yesterday. And so I've come to this area to try and see. I heard some Franklin's alarm calling this side, and Fergus heard some Franklin's alarm calling, and I have tracks coming this way. So I've just come to where I last saw Kalamba in the hope that maybe, just maybe, Thandi has just come back towards her. Unfortunately, though, the terrain to get to where they were yesterday from this side is very, very difficult. But I thought maybe I'd just double check in case they were somewhere here. So just having a little scan around, checking all the trees just to see if somehow they're just in this potential area. I have a feeling they're not far just am not 100% sure where exactly. We will find them, I'm hoping. We just got to really kind of double check and recheck and look and look and look and look again. But it's starting to get to that time of the day where leopards should be moving, so every now and then just turning off, listening, hoping that there's an alarm call or something that will give them away. But her tracks are interesting because they come from the south over Vulture access through the block, and they look like they were going towards Aubrey's, and then they just change all of a sudden and they go straight kind of northeast, which would then pop them out pretty much where I am right now, up against the drainage line. Where we left Kalamba yesterday is just on the other side to the right, so I'm wondering if maybe, just maybe, they aren't somewhere there in this drainage line. She was, like I say, seen quite a while ago. It's almost 4 hours since she was seen, so we know our leopards can move serious distance in a 4-hour span, and I'm a bit concerned that maybe, just maybe, she's way ahead of where we are now, and that we might have missed the bus a little bit. But we'll go and check Gallego Pan in case some tracks come out there, because if she did get Kalamba and they're not on a kill and going back the same direction, well, then they might go for some water very close by. She might take Kalamba for a little drink, thinking that might happen. There's not really many other places for her to drink, but I'm trying to scan all the trees just to see if maybe I can spot something dangling in a tree, any sort of tails maybe of little Kalamba as she waits for mom to come back, but so far no sign. Anyway, we'll keep persevering. I'm sure we can find something at some point, and so while we do that, let's send you back across to David, who's still with the sausages, and well, I'm sure he's beaming from ear to ear that he found the cats that he was looking for, unlike us.
Good luck, James, and hopefully you're going to see those cats. I haven't seen my sausage pride yet, but what I'm doing a bit of dancing on the road. As you can see how the car is going, it's not because of a mechanical issue, it's just because it has rained in this particular area, and this patch, or where this road is full of black cotton soil. So it rains and it soaks very easily, and it's very, very soft. And the tires dig right down there, and I have to keep concentrating on the road, otherwise I'm going to lose track. Haven't seen my sausage pride yet, haven't given up, and I'm still trying to find out, because when it rains, normally the temperatures come down, and I've noticed cats, especially lions, getting very active with low temperatures and in the rain. Last night, for those of us who were watching, we saw the Owino. Owino is a pair of lions of 4 females and 1 male, and they were out and about and very playful, and they ended up bringing down a wildebeest. So that is very typical all across the board of the lions. I'm just seeing some very big cloud to the left there. I'm sure, James, you'll excuse me if I just stop here and you turn to the left. It's not like I would say a sunset, but it just looks colorful from where I am. I'm looking at what I call the Olololo escarpment, and just look at that beauty. And this is the beauty of the Mara Triangle. Yes, and Lou in the final control concurs with me that that's so beautiful. I would imagine the sun will be setting at one point at that area, but look at the different colors there, and very heavy clouds. Could be cumulus nimbus that will indicate some rain tonight. And below is the Olololo escarpment. I used to struggle to say that word, olololo. And when I'm talking about Olololo escarpment, when we talk of the Mara Triangle, the 4 sides of the triangle is that escarpment you just saw, and then the other side is where Taylor is in Scott, and that's the Mara River, and the base of the triangle is the boundary between Kenya and Tanzania. That's how we end up with the Mara Triangle. And then the other side of the river is the main Mara. So every time I talk of the Mara Triangle, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And we'll move on, and I'm trying to start calling the sausage pride. It's a lot easier, I've noticed, to spot the males than the females. Thinking maybe the males are bigger in size than the females. The men, Alex, that's a very interesting question. And I'll tell you, most cats, apart from the cheetahs, are very territorial, and more so the lions. And if one pride, for example, the females, bump into another pride's territory, they'll definitely go for each other. So you get in the lion's kingdom, we talk of a pride of lions, which will involve females and sub-adults, and sub-adults could be both females and males. And then for the males, we usually talk about coalition. So if it's the females, they are always very closely related. They could either be sisters or cousins or first cousins or aunties. So if any other lioness would end up coming in that particular territory, they'll go for it. They will not go in to invite it. Males is the same case. Males, because they want to have dominancy. Of course, when the females will hunt, they'll want the food, but the males will fight for mating rights. So if any new pride, any new coalition will try and come in a particular area, for example, the males were just sitting there, they definitely go for each other. And when I'm saying going for each other, they fight, and sometimes to death. We have one particular male lion here that we call Scarface. Either one eye is missing, is blinded. It's because of a fight. And close to the camp where we are, we got a coalition of lions that we call the Triangle Boys, and they're 4. And those 4 males have been holding that area for a very long time. So, in short, if one pride gets into another area, or one coalition gets into another coalition that has an existing owners, they'll definitely go for each other. So this area we are here, that particular male we saw, Kipuli, and those 2 youngsters have been ruling the world here. And then the sausage pride itself, which involves 4 females, as I said earlier. There's the Kingfisher, has a kingtail. There's another female that we call Limpy. She limps around. They have been controlling this particular area. But once in a while, we'll see the females sneaking in and out. But we can tell in general which particular pride owns an area. That particular female we have just seen there is not a female that I know, it's not familiar to me, and it's not part of the sausage pride. Just thinking widely, there's another pride of lions that we call the Salt Lake pride, and we think she could be coming from there. And maybe after the honeymoon is over, she conceives, she will head out and maybe go rejoin the Salt Lake pride. So we have taken a different loop, still chancing and improving our chances of seeing the sausage pride. And of course, if not today, tomorrow would be another day. With this kind of short open grass, I would say lions can run, but they cannot hide. The way we spotted the other 3 a few minutes ago was just, good eyes of James. He told me, stop and look on your right, and there they were. Grass mating to most lions is like a ritual, and they're so religious when they're doing it. They do not want to be involved in anything else. I have followed a pride, or followed rather, a mating pair in Serengeti National Park in Tanzania, and the mating period will always depend. It's always anything 3 to 10 days. Of course, depending on the age, is the first time that male is out there mating, and this one, or that particular pair, Grace, mated for a solid 11 days. And in those 11 days, I didn't see them eat anything. Unless they ate at night when I was back in the camp, but I did not see them, I didn't see any sign of them having eaten anything. And by the time the honeymoon was over, they were so emaciated and they were so thin. So yeah, it depends. But I would say most of them, when they're mating, they don't eat anything, Grace. All right, Sausage Tree Pride, where are you? I got 2 Tommies here to the right, James, and to me, they look like girls. And the Thompson gazelle we had seen some earlier, and with the rains coming and all the short grass growing, they're a little dark there. But there's a Thompson gazelles, always trying to get the softer, shorter grass, which is more nutritious to them, and the long, tall grass, they won't be bothered. Wagging their tails as usual. I don't think at this temperature there are any flies, but sometimes it's more of a reflex for them to keep wagging their tails. So interesting, one is eating facing the other side and the other one the other. Jack, my favorite herbivore in the Mara is the zebra. James, you see those zebras in the background there? How far are they? And I would say so, Jack, because of the black and white in them and those colors. Anytime I see in black and white, I don't know what is. I cannot explain what I would want to put it, but the two are my favorite colors to start with. And anytime I see zebras, they remind me of my two favorite colors. So, Jack, I would say zebra is my favorite herbivore. And when it comes to the migration, we have watched them, or I've watched them for many years. When it comes to moving, the migration involves lots of dangers. There's a drought, there's a concern of predators. But in general, the zebras will always be in the lead. And I tend them to be more smarter than the wildebeest. And when it comes to crossing of the river, I have always seen the numbers building by the bank of the river, both wildebeest and zebras. But it's always the zebras will make the first move, and maybe they always make the judgment. Do we cross from here? Do we cross from there? And somehow the wildebeest tend to trust them. So once the zebras plunge in the water, pop, they'll go. I don't know what spoke to them.
Well, unfortunately, it sounds like the gremlins continue to rage in the Mara, and hopefully they'll disappear at some point in life, because they really are well entrenched on that side of the world at the moment. Been rather lucky here on Juma that we haven't had to deal with them too much of late, touch wood. But we've got some kudu in front of us. Kudu, where's the leopard? Why are you all so quiet? You should be barking. That would help us a lot. But the kudu are very quiet. There's a whole bunch of them spread across the fire break at the moment, so they're all kind of just milling about, really, and they'll start to come out of the thickets at this time of the day, start getting onto these kind of fire break areas where at least it's a little safer and easier to see things like a leopard. So I'm not surprised that they're actually out here, but it's being a bit frustrating this afternoon. I would have thought Tundi's tracks would have come out in a certain area, and they just haven't, and I can't really get a vehicle to where the last track was, so I kind of sit much like we did yesterday, in that it's an impenetrable fortress of trees where our vehicles, even these vehicles, just cannot reach, which I suppose is great for a leopard, but a little bit frustrating for us. But hopefully we'll just keep persevering and something will come out. It's good to sometimes sit at this time of the day and with things like kudu, not because something's going to hunt these particular kudu, but sometimes you get alarm calls or a vocalizing from a dominant individual, and that will just help you kind of get to where you need to be and find what you're looking for. So it was worth just checking it out and sitting for a little bit and enjoying it. The sun is almost down now, so I would imagine that the cats would start to move. It's a lot more kind of cooler than it was earlier. It's definitely, the temperature's dropped off quite nicely, and it's a very pleasant temperature for the cats to be starting to wake up and move around. I wonder if maybe she might head towards Gallagher Pan. I might swing past there again just now. It's about the right time to start heading in that direction and just see if maybe she's lurking around there with Columba and they're having a little bit of a drink of water. But these guys are quite happy, don't they? They look as though they've had a carefree day. They're busy munching and down on trees and various other things. Right, now it sounds like Steve Vovo, who's been sitting in the tent this afternoon monitoring the nest cameras, has something that is, well, slackening its thirst.
Good afternoon, everybody, from a lion-filled show to a few impala coming down to quench their thirst. My name is Steve, and I'm in the tent watching the sun set in the west, and it is a marvelous afternoon down here in Juma in the Sabi Sands as we have a look at some skittish male impala coming down to drink with one of the nest cams at Vulture watering hole, one at a time, with some turtle doves at their heels. We know where the lions are. We have a feeling Hosana is further south as well. So these impala are watching out for the likes of Tundi and Tingana. Where could they be? And there's always a bit of a scary moment coming down to drink as they wander off again after a very short quenching. Beautiful reflections of the marula trees in the water. It's a very slight breeze out there, not too much at all. So that's probably why the lions are still sleeping. And there's no signs of any other cats at the moment, but the night will be upon us soon as the sun reaches the horizon. Here comes another impala from the right. Seemingly the second rutting season is over. We haven't heard too much in the way of shouting from these boys. We'll have a little snack before he comes down to drink. You can imagine the feeding potential or the feeding rate that happens on plants close to the watering hole as the animals come and go. Anna Marie, you want to know about the horns, why they grow larger up in the north? It's got a lot to do with the nutrients. A lot more nutrients in the soil up there. Here the impala go through a season of poor growth and then a season of abundance, whereas in the Mara it is seemingly always very good. So the very volcanic rock, the ash and the soil there, very, very nutrient rich, leading to that sort of predominance of red oat grass. And so the animals have got a much larger or bigger degree in their diet when it comes to nutrients. So that would lead to the horns being different. If you looked at impala or kudu in similar reserves nearby each other in South Africa, but the soil type was different, it could lead to differences in the horns as well. It's all to do with the availability of the nutrients. You even see the lilac-breasted rollers up in the Mara far bigger than these ones down here. Although the same species, they just have more food. There's no sort of dry season as you will. Although the Mara does go through a dry season, it is much more abundant up there in the way of food and feeding. So that, I believe, to be the primary reason why the horns would be bigger on impala. I've seen examples of kudu from different reserves where the feeding was definitely to do with the nutrients, specific nutrients I'm sure as well, magnesium, calcium, all sorts of things that could lead to the bone development and the growth. If it's more predominant, well, it could lead to a much larger sort of horn development. I hope that answers your question. As the nest cam starts to quieten down, that is the most action we've had this afternoon. Very still, as you can see. Only the terrapin moving and a few drops of insects on the water. Well, as the birds come in to quench their thirst, we'll keep our eyes peeled for any other moving animals. And in the meantime, let's go back over to Tristan, see how he's getting along with his leopard search.
Well, Steve, if you think that it's quiet in the tent and around the nest cam, you should try jumping on a vehicle and heading out here, because very still out here at the moment. There's not much going on at all, which is, I suppose, par for the course. It makes us feel happy when we see lots of good things and appreciate those good things. Sometimes a quiet drive is a good drive, just from appreciation point of view. But still nothing further on Tandy. I mean, I've checked pretty much everywhere that I can possibly think that she would have come out, and she hasn't. And so maybe she's just sleeping in this block and taking it very easy. Just want to check. There's a tree there which has got a whole bunch of sticks lying kind of down that almost look a little bit leopard-like. So I just want to do a double scan there and just make 100% sure there's not a kitty sitting in the tree and I'm missing it. No kitty. Just some bark that's hanging down. So just double checking. One can never be too careful when it comes to our spotted friends. They do sometimes sit in trees just like that, and sometimes you think, it's just a bit of bark, or it's just a stump or piece of wood, and then you drive right past it. So it's always good if you see something that you're not quite sure takes 1 second just to double check rather than missing a cat. So always stop if I see something that I just want to double check and make 100% sure. I've spotted a lot of different things that way, actually. Sometimes not even leopards. Sometimes you spot some random things like owls or genets and things like that that are around. Right, I think Gallego Pan is our option for now, so we're going to head that way. We're just doing one last traverse of Gallego's shortcut just to see where, or in case she's crossed out behind me, but I doubt it. I don't think she has. And so while I do that towards Gallego Pan, let's send you back. Well, we're not going to send you because Louise has got the wrong comms. You've got the wrong comms, Louise. So we're not going to send you to Scott just yet, but now we'll start sending you to Scott, who otherwise would have been caught with his proverbial pants down, which wouldn't have been very, very nice at all. And so we can send him across to see what he's up to.
Is Tristan making fun of me? It's very naughty of him if he is, but don't worry, I will get him back. So we've left the Owino Pride. We have been driving. Oh, sorry, he's making fun of Louise, who's directing the show. I'll help you, Louise. I'll help you get back at him. Naughty Tristan. So, like I said, we've left the Owino Pride quite far to the south behind us, and we've moved into an area where we are told the Olololo Pride was seen this morning. Now, if you haven't met the Olololo Pride yet, it's worth sticking around because there are lots and lots of lion. It is the biggest pride of lion in the Mara Triangle at the moment. I think there could be as many as 16 or 17 members. I think 4 or 5 are adults and the rest are youngsters that are just over a year old. So it's a massive pride, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see how they kind of begin to fare in the coming weeks and months as those youngsters get even bigger and stronger and therefore add power to that pride. We don't spend much time with them. It's actually the weirdest thing. They are the closest pride to us, but because they live in an area where we can't off-road, they're kind of half off-roading, half non-off-roading area, which makes it tricky for us to kind of follow them, so we've decided not to really focus too much attention on them. Debbie, you would like to know, how do we not get lost out here? Well, it's actually very easy. If we look out that way, that's to the east, you can see a kind of belt of green forest that indicates where the Mara River is. So the Mara River is along that belt of forest. And then what we also use is the sun. That's one of the main things we use, the sun. Also quite a few of those little hills that you see out there. That hill that we're looking at now is where a camp called Serena is. So there's a few kind of hills and points, but the main thing that helps us is this mountain on our left-hand side to the west of us. You can see the glow of the sun poking through there. And this kind of mountain range runs along the whole western portion of the Maasai Mara. So this is the Olololo Escarpment. I guess it kind of runs southwest, not directly south. But this definitely helps us greatly. You can always look up and find out where the mountain is and therefore have an idea where you are. At night it becomes very difficult. Even if it's starry, we've got a roof on, which makes it difficult to see the stars. And like if the Bracenta light, which is just a little light down over here that shines on my face now, that kind of blinds me a little bit. So at night it can be a little bit difficult, and we do get lost at night, but we use technology, various tracking apps that help us track our movements and work out where we are and which direction we're heading in. That's one of the best ways to do things at night. But during the day it is easy here. A place like the Sabi Sands, interestingly, is a lot more difficult because there's a lot more thick vegetation, less big hills to see, and a lot more roads, hundreds of roads. So the Sabi Sands definitely takes longer to be able to, get to know than the Mara. On my first drive out in the Mara, I'll never forget, I wasn't too worried about finding my way home because you can see for so far. And our camp is up on a big mountain where there's a lodge with lots of lights, so that also helps after dark. Okay, where are these lion? They could be around any one of these corners, so be ready. It's told there was somewhere around this kind of little mountainy hill That's on our left over there. The tricky business is if they're lying down, they are very difficult to see. Let's just stop and have a scan. I can see something quite pale up on a rock straight ahead of us. It would be a miracle if it's a lion. Just to the right a little bit there, Viam. Oh no, it's just a light patch through the trees that got my attention. So there's a false alarm. Just going to use my binoculars for a second, and VM will kind of pan you around. If any of you spot a lion, do shout. I will reward you with a virtual high five. Nothing there. Well, let's go back and get back onto the road. This is just a little kind of track that runs up to a spot where people could have a picnic that I thought would be worth checking. It's a beautiful evening, and I love this stage of the evening because you'll find most of the other vehicles have had to head back to camp, yet we have got special privileges out here. So we've got kind of the place to ourselves, and it's the time of the evening where things start hotting up. Very good. While we try and work out where the Olololo Pride are, we are going to be sending you back to David Gitu to see what he is up to.
Very true, Scott. This is what exactly happens when it comes to the evening, and we could have that last minute chance to get hold of the sausage tree pride. We have definitely cleaned that whole area in the background there. We can tell they're not anywhere there. And if I'll be out tomorrow morning, or any of my colleagues will be coming tomorrow morning, it's now a lot easier for me to tell them from what area to start zeroing in on. So to be like from this block towards the boundary of Kenya and Tanzania, we are about how many? 15 kilometers more or less to the boundary between Kenya and Tanzania. I've never heard of the sausage tree pride going to Tanzania, but with all the availability of food around here, with all the openness of food here, it's very possible they could do that. And also may I apologize for the gremlins that have been hunting me today. On 2 or 3 occasions, I just disappeared. My apologies for that. And I think it's because of the rains we're getting in the Mara now, or the clouds that are building up could be affecting our transmission. My apologies. Well, Louis the Finder Control tells me it's not only me. It has been across the board. All the guides have been hunted by gremlins, so wow, happens. But I'm sure you're going to come clean out of that. I'm still enjoying this sunset. I'm not sure to call it a sunset or sunrise. Let me see what James will think of it. Depending on the clouds, it's a different formation from what we saw before. James, let's see whether this will look like a sunset or a sunrise. I'm a bit confused now, James. My apologies for that. You know, the cloud formation is a bit different than before. I would really want to see the actual ball going down there with all those peach colors, orange, yellow, black, and Teresa says that's very beautiful. I couldn't agree for that great comment. And I don't know what these clouds will give us later tonight. Maybe some big storm, but definitely not at the moment. But one thing I've noticed, sunsets and sunrises in Africa are always so very beautiful. So from where I am, we can just hear now some zebras trying to communicate, some larks signing off for the day. We'll have now the night movers coming in, like the nightjars or scrub hares. Good job, James. I've always heard James in South Africa talking of the color of honey in that beauty. I've always wanted to know what color he talks about when he talks of honey. I mean, I can count for peach, I can account for yellow, I can account for orange, black. I don't know what he means, color of honey, because honey in Africa, the whole countries, the countries that I know of, honey has different colors depending on where you are. So James, if you get to hear this, let me know what you mean when you say the color of honey on sunset or sunrises. All right, we're going to move. We still got some chance of getting the sausage trip right. And if we spot them, they'll make my day. Minamu, I'll tell you, yes, they do. And we believe, personally, from my own experience, Minamu, I think the zebras tend to see better at night than the wildebeest. That's my own experience. And they form what it calls scratch my back or scratch yours. So definitely, if the zebras spot a predator, and more so lions, Minamu, as you say, they'll always alert the wildebeest. And during the day, I've noticed the wildebeest being more alert to predators than the zebras, and they do the same. So Minamu would say, yes, they develop a relationship and they help each other in terms of, their safety and security. And because they're always in big numbers, that translates what we usually say, safety numbers. So chances are, during the day, you'll see the wildebeest coming close to the zebras, and during the day, you see zebras heading towards close to the wildebeest. And I think for that one particular reason. If they're deciding to cross the Mara River during the crossing, and the zebras stop to cross, the wildebeest automatically also will do the same. Beautiful sighting. I want James here to see whether you can do 180. Just we enjoy these plains of the Mara. And Minamu, hopefully you're still watching and see the zebras spawning out all around as you look left, right. It's a world full of zebras. And very quietly feeding. Thank you very much, James. And again, in the background is the Olololo escarpment. And the scattered trees, which is very iconic of the Mara, that would call the torchwood or the balnite. So those trees you see there are very iconic of the Mara plains or the savannah. I could not ask for a beautiful world than this. Such a great office to work in. And the sun is still trying to push down there. And that setting keeps changing every few minutes. How peaceful is that? I'm sure if James, I could borrow your blanket, I would be more than happy to spend the night here. But James is a big boy, so I'm sure he'll want to go have his dinner. Is that true, James? Fantastic. James is always magic. When he puts his hands on that camera, he does a wonderful work. Thank you very much, all you viewers, on James's work. Anytime I'm with James, I never go wrong. Alrighty, Sausage Pride Tree. Please, I'll just beg you to show up. And you'd make my evening. Tristan, are you winning?
David, no. So I'm going to do the same thing as David, except that I'm not going to call a sausage tree. I'm going to call Tandi or Tlalamba. Please make my evening and show yourselves. But alas, they have not shown themselves so far. I'm just checking around inside here. Fergus, did you spot something? So Fergus says there's a stick that's blinding him. So we're looking down inside here. So when I say it's not accessible by a car, this is pretty much what I'm referring to. So I don't take many thickets as a place that I cannot go. I have this philosophy that there is always a plan to be made to get through thickets. But in this case, there really is no plan that can be made, and there is no way to get inside of here at all. It's a steep drop. I mean, even if you wanted to try and off-road here, you're going to take your life into your own hands trying to get down in there, and probably in all likelihood I would damage these cars and kill Fergus and myself, which I don't know about you, Ferg, but I'm quite happy to be alive, and certainly don't want to damage a car before TV, because then I might not be alive if Steph and James get hold of me. So but apparently FC is also happy for us to live. Well, that's good to know. Thank you, Louise, that we are valued as team members within this establishment. So what we're going to do is we're going to just try and bumble on this drainage, and I'm hoping that somehow I spot one of these two cats just somewhere. This is a major kind of Haley's, well, we wouldn't call it Haley's a hopper. I don't know why I said Haley's hopper. A major kind of Hail Mary pass, and I'm hoping that I might just get lucky. I'm sure she's coming back here to Columba, and I've run out of light now to track, and so, you know, I'm hoping that I'm just going to bump into her meeting up with Columba. I've stopped and turned off a few times just to listen, try to get some alarm calls, maybe even her chuffing or something like that as she makes her way towards her little cub. But alas, nothing. I have just received nothing in my ears and nothing to my eyes, and so, well, Tandy's letting me down. We'll get something. Something will pop out for us to make our evening. It's been 2 rough afternoons, and so we need to rectify these situations. We can't have this nonsense. Leopards, we need to sort this out. Whatever I've done to offend you, I'm sorry. Come back now, please. Apparently there is a hyena on the dam cam. Oh, interesting. It's perfect for Steve, Louise. Steve must be all amped up, waiting in hope that that hyena makes its way to Nest Cam to brighten up his afternoon. Well, I know, but dam cam and Nest Cam are pretty much in a similar area. Am I wrong? No, I'm right. They are in a similar area, so there is a possibility that hyena goes for a little swim. Apparently it's walking away from everything. Okay, I'm sorry, Louise. You're right, I'm wrong. Sorry. Now, I don't think I'll make it to said hyena because, well, I'm quite far north now. Nothing was at Gallagher Pan, by the way. I did check there too. It doesn't seem like anything was happening on that side either. Oh, Tandy. Part of the reason why I enjoy her is that she's not easy to find. There's something about the fact that she's tough to find that makes me like her even more, because I feel like you really have to put a lot of effort in to find her, and you don't just get random sightings. You get a reward at the end of working hard, and that's always a nice thing to have. So hopefully we will be rewarded at some point for an afternoon of looking for her. I suppose after 4 hours of her walking, or 5 hours now of her walking ahead of us, I suppose she could be quite far away actually. I might be completely searching in the wrong places, but I just can't find any other tracks, and so that's why I keep kind of checking in this area and hoping that she'll pop out with little Columba in tow, and the two of them will be bounding through the grass like they were doing the other day. Miss Salamandrous, yes, leopards are on vacation. It's just that pre-TV show vacation. One needs to go and rest. Hosana's got cucumbers on his eyes at the moment with his feet up. Tingana's looking for a meal just so he looks buff, and he's hitting the gym on a gym vacation. And Tandy and Columba have gone to the spa for yes, manicures and pedicures, Louise, and just making sure that they are all well and truly looking good for this weekend. So it's okay. They're allowed that time. As a celebrity cat, one must make sure that they are looked after if they are to make continued and frequent appearances. And so, you know, we do all we can to make sure that all of them are in a good state and have had what they need. Sometimes, you know, you've got to call in outsiders at times to help out, so sometimes we try and get Hukamuri and get him out of his trailer to come and sort of spend some time on our side as well. Anyway, we're going to carry on. We're going to get to a road now and actually stay on the roads because it's getting dark and I'm not going to be able to spot too much. So while I do that, we're going to send you to Scott, this time successfully, and he's also doing what I'm doing, searching for cats, but I hope he's had more luck than what I've had.
Yes, Tristan, good idea. Stick to the road. We have found a zebra, a giraffe. I always get the two confused. No joy with the Olololo pride, but we're hoping, we actually saw these giraffe. They kind of stopped and they were looking around, and we were hoping that they'd maybe spotted the lions, but it doesn't seem to be the case. So we're just going to keep on moving and see what happens, but for now we can enjoy a beautiful view of this lady. She appears to be flaring her nostrils. And off she goes. Beautiful. quite a moody evening here in the Mara. Looks like there could be some rain in the background there on the other side of the river. We haven't had nearly... Oh, beautiful little lightning bolts there. Hope some of you got some screenshots. I'd be very surprised if you did, though. You'd have had to have been lightning fast. But we haven't had nearly as much, as I was saying, nearly as much rain that I remember having last year. And things are drying out here quite desperately. There's even a chance that we might run out of water at camp, and we'll have to bath using a bucket once a week. But that's not imminent. But unless we get some rain, that's a reality. VM says he likes bathing in a bucket. Yeah. Thankfully, we've had a bit of a problem with power in our camp. We had a bit of an electrical explosion. So we haven't had warm water for the last 3 days, but thankfully Brent Leo Smith had a bucket shower along with a long list of interesting things that he travels with, lots of fishing rods and a bucket shower. And a bucket shower is basically just kind of like a PVC plastic material with a shower head at the bottom of it, and you hoist it up, and we've got nice wooden beams in our shower, so we hoisted it up and then you just pour water into there, warm water that we get from the kitchen. So thankfully we've been enjoying a few warm showers thanks to Brent's camping equipment. And I'm told that our electricity crisis will be resolved as of today. It's a great technique actually, the bucket shower, because it forces us as humans to realize how much water we're actually using, and it requires a little bit of effort to get the hot water and pour it in, so you use it conservatively. And I think it's something that the world over probably doesn't take into consideration enough, being mindful of water use. In Cape Town, while we're on the subject, there's been a major water crisis there, and when I go and spend time down there with Nikki and her family, it's quite a interesting affair that we actually use more water to flush the toilet every day than you need to actually shower when you are using it conservatively, which is quite an interesting thing. Anyway, it's not the most interesting topic I've ended up talking about. That's why Louise has asked me to link away, so off you go.
Here we have got the Inkohuma Pride, everybody. We have come into a position that is dangerous. I'm not going to lie to you, we are in a very dangerous position here. I know it might not look like these lions are about to attack us, and physically they are not. But in an olfactory sense, we are under severe attack. These cats ate them something very big last night. It has now passed through the esophagus, the stomach, the small intestine, and it is now making its way out through the large intestines, and it is being preceded by a lot of noxious gases that all of these lions in front of us are now producing in a manner that is making the air around us befouled to a degree that I promise you cannot imagine unless you have smelt it. It is very trying to be here, but sacrifices must be made for the show. Yes, Emma, I have indeed had flat tyres in the vicinity of lions. Luckily, a flat tyre does not preclude driving the car slowly away. You can get away normally. I have had to be towed out of lion sightings before, and I have towed other people out of lion sightings. So in fact, on my very first drive here was with lions in the evening, this very pride, although not the little ones, the younger ones. And somebody got stuck in the sighting and had to be towed out. And I think, in fact, Brent towed them out of that sighting. It was an Arethusa car, and he pulled them out of the sighting while the lions were there. So you had to climb onto the bonnet and pretend you weren't doing very much. The lions didn't really mind. But, I mean, in this position, we are very close to them. I'm less than 2 meters from the closest lioness. I wouldn't like to try and change a tyre from here, especially as it gets darker, and especially as any extra tension brought to bear on this situation could result in a further exuding of gas. MK, I'm not taking one for the team. I've taken at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for the team at this stage. 8 darts have at least passed through the air that I am now expected to breathe. Craig has turned green. He's barely hanging on to life. You wouldn't notice because, I mean, look, he's not very loud at the best of times, but he's doing his best. Mr. Public, you say one word, gas mask. Is that 2 words or 1 word? It's probably 1. But yes, a gas mask would be deeply helpful at this stage. In fact, what I would really like to do is get some wild sage, attach it to some gaffer tape, and wrap it around my face. Apparently some of you can hear lions roaring at the dam cam. Well, that's interesting because the lions at the top there, you can see they just perk their heads up and look north. So that's not impossible. I doubt there are any too close by. I mean, I know Tristan is not too far from the dam cam, or he certainly wasn't a little bit earlier. So perhaps he can tell you if there are lions calling in Buffelshoek, which is the reserve to the north of us. That's possible. I'm extremely worried because the lioness in front of me is now just rolled over, and she's aimed the offensive bit straight at us. The gas valve, if you like. And you can see she's panting heavily because of the amount of food she's eaten. These cats are not going to get up for love nor money this evening. I suspect that they will be here until early next morning, if not right here close by. They gorged last night, and in fact they were fat this morning when we found them. They don't look much thinner. You might just be able to hear their panting. That's me breathing, but that's what it sounds like. And definitely we're starting to get the kind of springtime dusk chorus of the birds. A few francolins, drongos, 1 or 2 waxbills and small finch-like birds. Let us not forget the southern black flycatcher. Because, of course, the winter is much more silent than the summer. Looking forward to the first cuckoo, I hear. Last year I remember it being the black cuckoo going... I'm so sad. And then the red-chested cuckoo, I think, came after that one. Oh, there's another one. Oh, dear. Ooh. Ooh. We're going to go into infrared. Oh. I'm just going to breathe through my mouth and try and block my nose. Hello, you've got up, have you? Good. 2 lions coming up behind us now. There they go. Oh, it's the oldest lioness and she's making a deposit. I can't move, I'm afraid. This is terrifying. This is utterly terrifying, everybody. You have no idea the trauma to which we're about to be subjected. You shouldn't have to watch this. Let's go across to David in Kenya. He's got something far more couth and peaceful to look for, I think, at this time of the night. So let's head across to the migrating herds of the wildebeest.
Well, I haven't given up, but I'm almost getting there. and thinking tomorrow is another day and I'll have a brand new plan on where to start. That's the good of what I've done today. Looking at that zebra, one side of the body, well, how about James right there? One side looks much brighter than the other. It's the same zebra, I guess. But if you look at the hindquarters, I'm not sure why is that. But the hindquarters look to be much brighter than the front quarters. See the black and white stripes on the back? I'm not sure what's the name of the guess. What's my favorite animal or my favorite hobby when I say the zebra. So if you compare those two zebras, that's like have a uniform pattern all across. Yes, it's quite interesting. James, may I request you go back to the same zebra again to your left. And she has like two different patterns. It's not about, I would say, wallowing in the dust or in the mud. I would say something genetical because the hindquarters are much brighter, like have the body moving forward and striking black and white. That's really quite interesting. We might hear sound of a car just passing us on the left. That should be fine. There are people just heading home and all good. They have been out on a game drive. Friends of ours. Yeah, that zebra is quite interesting. Well, the darkness is slowly creeping in the Mara triangle, as you can see there. Hello, zebra. Why do you have two different colors? And because of the darkness, we might be saying our little goodbyes from this side of the Africa, Kenya. Interesting. I have not seen that before. What I've seen earlier, or sometimes, is what people call albino zebras, which tend to be white. Even the black stripes tend to look pretty white, and the white looks much whiter, or like off-white. The black stripes look off-white, and the white look much whiter. But this particular one, James, if you go back there for a few more seconds, I'm trying to find out, is it something genetical, or was he doing some mud bath before? Or not, and she's just posing, looking at us. Little scratch there on the left front leg. Twitch the tail as usual. And the wildebeest in the background are going, nee, nee, nee. This particular species of the zebra is called the common zebra, or the plains zebra. And it reminds me of a particular animal called okapi. Okapi is like half giraffe, half zebra. Now this one is like half zebra, half mini zebra. And okapi is a kind of animal you'd see, I guess, in DRC Congo or in Namibia. It looks like a cross between a zebra and a giraffe. And then the other two species of zebra, we have another species in Kenya called the gravy zebra, that you'll see in the northern part of the country. And around Namibia also, you'll see another species that we call the mountain zebra. And there are two subspecies of the same. So this particular one here, we also got a subspecies of it in South Africa, especially if you go to Juma. So I'm talking about the Grunge zebra and the plain zebra. And the Inkohumas, I'm sure that James got in Juma in South Africa, may have a lot to eat if one day they make it here, or the migration would make it to South Africa. And on behalf of my brother Big James from the Mara, will be saying goodbye, and tomorrow will be another good day. And from the beautiful Mara, from all of us, adios for now.
I'm slightly distressed by that, because it seems to me that David has decided that other James should be called Big James, which is fair enough, he's big, but I don't think that I should be called Small James. I think that is not good for my ego. I have a very sensitive ego, and to be called Small James is really not acceptable. So I'm going to have a word with David, a stern word. He has called me Small James before. I have definitely heard him call me Small James before. So obviously that's going to have to be taken up, possibly with management. I might have to write a formal grievance about David. You know what he's like. I mean, he's very nasty all the time. I'm obviously being entirely facetious. David Gitu is there. If he thought that for one instant that he had offended me, he would probably prostrate himself and cover his head in ash. Anyway, let us have a last look at the stinkiest lions in all the world. I would move forward to get that branch out of the way, except I'm pinned against a stump, so that's not possible. We'll have to look at the last few that are up on the top. There they are, wonderful. Oh, thank you so much for all your effort today to make our drive entertaining. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm also being facetious about that. I'm not vaguely grateful. Right, everybody, that is the end of the Sunset Safari on this day, the 22nd of August, my cousin's birthday, believe it or not. I hope that you've all enjoyed it. I've certainly had quite a good time. I'm sad we didn't find the leopards. We'll do better tomorrow, I hope. Thank you very much for all of your questions, for all of your comments. It's always entertaining hearing from you. You are the most important part of what we do, of course. We'll see you tomorrow. Until then, bye-bye.